la so teni da dari dwa nga so drama ta nang drama chuni nyolong sa je je jemban de ma ta shisala ani phabi ge ta ji lo chu yong la ani nge ge thomar teni ji ta hi de le sia yin se.
And so first, I would like to greet everyone here who has joined us to receive these teachings on the swift path of twofold spiritual development, this teaching and practice of Tara.
Ani ta te yang an ka chong da da re te yang da tari ji nga so tan zambeleng la di 가스레 또 옆지엔 그때는 나차가 강아 첨보지 종제 아니 텔라 템비 되니 다 무지니까라 고차 첨보지 차 고차 첨보다 아니 텔라 테니 다지 낭 셈그 강아 되니 치 다 내당 대기인데 다지 가스레 강아 몽부 질 내당 소비 강아 몽부 질 때지니 아니 이제 가시지기 대징다 탐나 야고도세 된대지니 송망송 되니 내가 소디 티서데 직 람송 때 탐마송 다 가스레 간니 다다발 옌바데 가시 주야지 인디 람송 때 탐마송 아니 데 송자 다 드린 티서들은 데마 히야데 인셀라.
And so because we've been in the midst of all of these difficulties with the coronavirus, you know, we've had a lot of difficulties both in terms of our personal lives, our economic lives, the general economy of our countries, and so forth. And so we're having problems in our minds, inner problems, outer problems, and so forth. And so some people in response to that said it would be good if we were able to do some Tara practice. And I wasn't able at the time when they asked me to immediately, give these teachings and get this started because I had already committed myself to some other programs. And so now we have gotten the time and now I'm going to go ahead and give these teachings.
So, ane, that in this home, then also that tari dwala ta nga henge nanda chenaba henge nanda ta nga so ge ji tablam ta nangbi gi yong tablam drama la tembi top ji go ni ane ji zambelai de thang yong dang nyam cha chungwa de so thamje ya su thubya dang an de ga na yin ge nam jun da ji man tho de madang ane ne da muge som teni mongchiwaji tene nyamla labde anda tene chagi yore ta yeta de chama ma ta yetbyak ani thuke ja chembo da jiche ani nyehe tene ji naronas.
And so by this practice then we can aim to bring some comfort and relief to these difficult situations that we find ourselves in, some relief to the problematic situations. And it is often the case that illnesses, wars, and famines kind of come in the same period of time. And so I ask you then to listen to these teachings with a great sense of great compassion, with the wish to pacify all of these turbulent forces in the world.
Data pachi chenamba tsumala di kubate yu sung luwa data di indi dremi kubandre. Then de da Chetang Daji Namba Nalola, that's Sanji Ray, Ramandamambo Yore, the Dinonita, Zotene, Majuki Segonanda. Teni, that Pimer Budasito, that Tenrich Casset Majuguta, Sanji Tam, na, that Sanji, that Maju Tamki, Tava, the Jetavichuba, Teni Jitun drama, setting and D, Teni Marshigos.
And so I was told that all of you have this picture here. And so this is Tara. And so Tara is the kind of root or the source of all of the female Buddhas and Buddha emanations. And so that's who we're going to be talking about today.
Ani Jerki Ta Sanji Seundu Galaya Ta Nasogata Semjiri Devigata Lover Kiengayata Chesmik. Anin Docha Hedong Demo Naja Chadula Subata Tindrigi Deni Kien Telepa George Ani Pagi Ta Semje Rangin Deni Takpa Imba na Re Takpa Tawa, that Takpa Tawa Seneti Jor Devo Duela. Teni Takpa Tawa, then Versawa. They are Teni Ninja that Zambig More Songe. That Nasu Sangra Yinte, Jetang Tendrichi. The Resonda, that Sanji said, the Tendrichi Mondo Josumajil, Sanji said. Tako ngar kanzachi imba inaya ta digi kieng walap telipa George ranging pagita sang niluk chitawa yinde takpa tawa osawa teni kasirejik muni zamda hingi ranging semondo choswa jela sanji sedu just sanji godon del teni gogo yore.
So generally speaking, when we use the word Buddha, what that refers to is someone who has liberated themselves from the conditions of their afflictive emotions, the afflictive mental states of attachment, aversion, ignorance, jealousy, pride, and so forth. And when they purify that, they get back to, or they arrive into, they are liberated into the true nature of their minds, which is pure and clear and luminous, compassionate and loving. And so generally speaking, those are the qualities that make up what we call the nature of our minds. And a Buddha is one who has made what is the actual nature of their mind become fully manifest. And so there are all of these outer conditions, these what we call adventitious or temporary conditions, which stir them or can lead someone away from that nature. And when you are able to overcome those outer conditions or those adventitious conditions, then you can make all of those qualities which are innate, which are the qualities of the nature of your mind, those qualities that I mentioned before of purity, luminosity, love, and compassion, make those become manifest. And so that's what is the general meaning of what a Buddha is then.
Ani ta jetang da sanji singen de tendijele muzungu yore. De dig noni yang ta jetang sanji ta chije noni yang ta ninjige rangzo se shasungwa de la tene ta nape marai sego nanda tene sanji o pa de me ba ta sanji o pa de me ba de muni ta ne ge ta ninjige rangzo tene sharong gala kundu de so yang khor mabo tenge ta jedang nga so zamba da zewa de days china chana nga ge no ne mabo de la chang yore tenge ge de ne de rang yin jian ji ye ba de de sanji tamji ji no ne yang ta ji ning ji ge mi se ge rang zo sha song ge de de da song dan de de ning ji ge rang yin jian ji de daily de ne de chung wi ji zun drama. So
we have many different Buddhas, and amongst those, the Buddha who is the complete embodiment of the compassion of and who is the appearance or the arising, the appearance of this complete embodiment of compassion is Amitabha, who is the Western Buddha of the Lotus family. And so Amitabha also has a red color, And amongst the 5 colors of the 5 Buddha families, the red color is symbolic of love and compassion. And so then Jetsandroma arises from Amitabha.
Ani ta deyang chi ngaso ta dige chonda bo che ba ta chitang ngaso ta jing zambelen mulen chana yang ta ngaso Buddha pomo se yin yo de. Pa de ma se ni yin yo de. De de song zang de ni zo ji ga se de ma ge right de ni ga se de yin je che ba da. De ni bu ge la ha jiang ge de ni di zhe ba che ba. 다 잠바다 제와치와 가스리직 덴디게 강한다고 지 통도 뺄레지 가리는 데레지 루빠지 제나마도 지 데마타고는 덴디게 다샘 데이스 총세고는다 힌지 체세고는다 다 같이 힌지 체히요다 버도 부모님 지디 부모들 지라게 되는 힌지 체와래 된다 송잔 되는 대양 다다가서 되는 마이 나바지 생제 탐지 마이 나바 얘기하바인데 나서 해야 되라 저 산지 탐지 제비게랑지 제바게 노니 제비 랑조 샤와 데일리 중위게 되니 다롱데 마그 라이스타 덴드스 샤디비게 되니 플라지 다리게 마히히오레스.
And so generally speaking with humans, if we talk generally, we have, male and female, fathers and mothers. And when we think about things in that way, the mothers, that is the female, generally speaking, have greater love, greater compassion. When they think of like the love for their child, that if their child ends up in some kind of difficult situation, that, unless they help them, they're not going to feel any sense of comfort or peace until that child is helped. And so we say that they have, much greater compassion than women do. And so Tara then arises in this motherly form. And so what I was trying to say before, or what I'm getting to here, is that generally speaking, all Buddhas in that Buddha nature are the nature of love and compassion. And particularly, Tara comes from Amitabha, who is the complete embodiment of love and compassion. And then even more so, Tara herself is the motherly form who has even greater compassion.
That's all.
Love. Sorry, speaking specifically of love when we said Tara there.
That's all. And this today, this home di sambala ta di drama te and ne kumdu mabu da ji ingo samaribe. Kasi de deyang be daguni tani ta ninji rangzo gutni 디기다 라이레더 바타 라이 리준다우티 네 덴데 삼소지 요레든 디드니 양 가시리 심제 탐지라 틀렌드 비차니다 틀렌스디 고 자와드 비차니 근데 레지 라이기 나바치니 쟁디요레 레지 라이기 나바치 운디가라 꿈두비 장케 차송마레 코페디 레이드 소페 테이신 조파다 데데 드비악 체데라 꿈두 장케체 디 송자 데네 제바데 닌지디 조 송그레체 아니 남바디 레지라게 심제 탐지 던드비 찬 레기라게 나바지 옌도디가라 디니 동도 요르다디.
And so you might have the doubt, some people have the doubt that why isn't Tara red? If Tara is the coming from Amitabha, if she is this nature of love and compassion, shouldn't she be red? Why is she green? And so she's green from the perspective of the karma family, which is the family of accomplishing actions. And it's from that perspective that she is green and arises in this form of one of the karma Buddha family. And so her speech, from the perspective of her speech is the Pema family of love and compassion, but her physical embodiment is green in the aspect of, or showing the appearance of, the karma family.
Ani da jidang desopetes nuda chimborendo sarevamato jidang di ngadang leka ningde na kasere jegre dande Pena ngada ji mchila o chugu phagi de leka de tene ji lekho a si tambo ngano ni thanje tene phagi de gi leka de yongor che go duwa tenda songzang pe de leg rai ge zo chung khong ro de di song de le zi go yore tenda ji de ku song tho so ma to ma ya na tene che le de tene song no de go yore.
And so this is a little bit of a difficult and complicated topic to get into deeply, but generally speaking, like getting into the real details of this, actually, the speech and activity are one and the same. And what that means, like, truly they are one, because like if I tell someone to do something, like, hey, do this, then it is from the power of my speech that activity is going to get performed. And so the real source of activity is speech. And so when we talk about la di kusun tokti ondu karise vorela.
Di intlen de song no dindo rela.
Kusun to yen tentenli ngado.
La de kusong tho sam ma to ma chi na.
Oh yeah.
Intlen de song no dindo rela.
And so when we talk of the presentation of body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities, if we reduce that down to only 3, the activities are actually contained within speech. When we only talk about body, speech, and mind and don't talk about all 5, the other 2 are contained within the above mentioned 3. But anyway, the activities are contained within the speech.
Okay. I beg us some Munda Jin and Namjila Lunga is some Matuchi Yenda Mambo in the head Jogumara. Oh, Nala the Ngadin Cambo de Lunga is some Yuri singing at the Matu Yen the Him with Jagumaravas. In a dinner song the Rata.
And so ordinarily speaking, when we're talking about, humans, like talk about me as Kempo, we wouldn't talk about anything more than our body, speech, and mind, would we? But, those other things, those other, 2 factors are contained within body, speech, and mind.
Okay. That's so that in this home that Jer Jita Nangbalaya da Flag Ring Dramada Mambo Yorita. The inner digging known in Ditini, Jetun drama, Sanji song right there, the Ninja down, the Ninja getting fly jigs, out in the Shivy Stambo.
Sungiri, legiri.
Oh, that injured the song right, then a league number Jinjaju.
That's so. And so when we, in Buddhism, we have a great many different types of these divine forms, deities, we could say. And amongst those, then Tara is of the lotus family of speech, though her body appears as a body of the karma or activities family. And she is a deity who is the embodiment of love and compassion.
Oh, that's Yata. Oh, Mambo Mashevche. This is young. And da DJ Chungkong Junda de drama Tambo de any that thing son and out in the Sri Lanka say to Marivella Tati. That's Sri Lanka la any Jabo Chigipomo Hidawa singing. Ani dege ani kasere pechi tate dukavla tani kyom nendi tata opamere ngati jabo tendrila tani pen chapa mambo chipe tsosa driba jangbi ke tamadwala ani khong kulu de yesemcheni sanji ge padela tani bomu ge naba cheni semchena rodo che tobya tokje jen zecheni ta sanji songjujela ta lojin ro chichena tendesi lubu yor.
Digi Tsena Karisegore?
Oh, Yishidawa.
Mare Digi Anchi Ngama Damulam Jabikabla.
Morang main devala.
Red de Anchik Dini Opa Meg Karisegorela.
Ole Oba Medela Ngada Jabo. Ngadi Jabo Sigidwala. Ngadi Jabo the Sanji Oba Megin San Regite.
Anida Yishidawa Dele and Chupapu Zoza, Denichi Depa Jambi.
That Monang Lamanda would tell the Ngadi Jabode.
And so the story, the kind of history, the source accounts of Tara go back to the daughter, a princess of this king in Sri Lanka, and her name was Yeshidawa. And she was relying upon this teacher named Ngadi Jopo, and who was the Ngadi Jopo de Wopamere se Warela. And so anyway, she made many offerings to him and gathered the accumulations and purified all of her obscurations and made her her bodhicitta aspiration that from her time now as an ordinary being all the way through the time that she attains Buddhahood, may she do so, may she work for beings in the female form.
The Casereta de la Tini Jigta Dramata, Nunmata, Pamoseta, the Solan Reshepe, Mumujore, and Dordus on a pace, Semje Tamji, turned in Tlande, Hajang than the Neuroimina, the Nidi Nurmase. Then Semje Kangan Lee, Tanjipachimbo J, Jedudino Jehore, that the Trate Soli, the Nidi Druria La, the so drone Rubicani, Tigi. Dili drotin rubina drama say what that the ligand sang number right still.
So Tara has many different names, such as the Liberator and the Quick One, the Brave Lady, and so forth. And so and there are many different names that will come up throughout this text. And so from the perspective of how quick her activities are for benefiting beings, she's called the Quick One. From the fact that she liberates beings from the 8 and 16 fearful situations, which will be discussed in this text also, she's called the Liberator. So there are many such names, and they all have particular, meanings and explanations for them.
Oh, so that this song that Chinambagidi or the Nipen and Chile. Durja Chechong sama pang sumbaina tadi cerita Durja se de undukala ta sosugu tadi jinjo yeme chila sama tangu hudua sirabala ta Durja Chechong se de jinjo manyung chila sama tangu hudua si and tende sonda cerita tadi nangbala lamambu ji yore tige tamchi ge tani Durja le chan de Durja de mama yosi yore. Yeah, that Jimson Cassidy Penata, Jikten come to the Namba singing the bed the coron Maban Rosona young, Digitaron young USA. Pecha Yana, Teni Jagala Tata, the Sarasate setting in the Rare. Teach you undo, but Nambas on the Mahimba, Teni Cassidy Hindu. Tell us about Hindu goods the Nidin Churfiore. Taking the perm with that did Sama drama say. Then that song Mambuchel Pachap the Digi. Petty and Telecha, he said.
And so from the perspective of her vast activities, it said that, Tara attracts or has more devotees or more, followers than other amongst all of these various forms that the Buddhas can take, all of these divine forms that there are. Tara has many more, followers or devotees. And it said that even, in times when Buddhism no longer exists in a place, people will still pay reverence, people will still follow Tara. And an example of that is like, Sarasvati in India, after Buddhism had even, been basically extinct from India, still the Indians in the Hindu tradition adopted Sarasvati and make offerings and pray to her. And also in the Bonpo tradition, another religion of Tibet, they have also a Zamadroma, another form of Tara who they worship and revere and practice.
So that in this home that negatari alengaso that the drubjagal latikare yimi te ni muzon cheba indas.
And so I was just here introducing you and helping you to identify exactly who this deity is who we will be practicing.
That the down the Tukye said that Tukye said the same Jesarati. Be Chana di Java in that same Jesse that Ringa so dita, Nasa Jengi Chambu, Jong Jeje, and Zambalin Kanganchung and Dig Gopsala. Ta Maumba same Jelan that and that Abichua di Jubiag Chede, any Tapen and Ganda Wuda. Churonsundra Wuchi, Tukye Nangsumbaina. ane maungba chirongso sang jiyon bichena teni pe di kasi negin jikpa chimbuli kyobike teni pe ne sangji mela tabi teni tata jitun drama tabi o teni sichini chandugu yore digi noni tan de ane jikpa chimbu je singen rago ta kachin jikpa chatsang daji donggu yore ta de jibyaga chidi zo tukje nangsung yore tende 송장가 소치 내당 던다 원풍 따지서 멍부히 되는 갈리 거부도라
No.
다 접이 쳐발라서보다 던디 같이 인직과 탐지에 접이겠다 소부 특히 낭송바 던디게 화지 양야고래.
And so when we speak about people's bodhicitta intention, often what we're referring to is like the original source of their motivation of bodhicitta. Like, for example, if we were to generate bodhicitta based in our current situation with the pandemic, and out of a wish to be able to free beings, liberate beings from illness when any type of situation such as the one we find ourselves in now happens again in the future. We use this current situation as a source of our inspiration for our future activities. So, for example, then if we were to generate bodhicitta based in this situation, then in the future we would be able to save and protect beings from pandemic illness. We would, similar to the way that Medicine Buddha did, and also similar to the way that Tara did. And so Tara's primary kind of focus in her generation of bodhicitta, her aspiration for beings, was to be able to liberate all beings from these 8 types of fearful situations. And so we'll get into the specifics of those later. But anyway, her primary intention, or primary kind of ambition, or primary focus in her bodhicitta intention then was to protect beings from all fearful situations.
라서 아니 샘제당 샘지비긴 리뷰 kopsala tin niba yebi pe penanda chron deni memba jegi sibi 샘제니 deni tatsindu digala pen mengeta dingaso chodop sego mareta mengi지 인자탕 여바지 차루도 pen nga deni di 총바지 jegi 있었는다 nga 막보지 jegi 있었는다 다 가르이나지 샘 가와라 깨제 대다 된다고 지운데 리뷰 것을 띠니바 템바데 그 추이집을 말인지 때라에 집어 지정되었으라.
And so when we say this, we use the word, generating the mind of enlightenment, but we can generate our mind towards anything. And so an example of, generating an intention or generating that mind and the result that can come from that, I can give an example for that. So just for example, if you have the intention, if you generate the intention, I'm going to become a doctor, and then with that intention, ultimately you attain the result that you become skilled in medicine, then that's an example of the result of your intention, of generating the intention. And the same can go for if you decide that you want to be a business person or an army general or whatever it may be. And so when we have that generation of intention, then there is a possibility, there is a result, a potential or a potentiality, a power that is gained when we follow through to the result of what we brought that intention towards. So this generating the intention is just a way that mind works. It's not specific to Dharma. It also applies in any kind of worldly sense.
Oh, so ale tension senagare di
La.
Chegi tension songdo tension song the same je revela.
Intention senachik sem gida mikpado chido segure.
Ole intention.
Is mupado.
And that ring also intention jadi jegudwa seda. Zambeling kanga deso say the intention jegudwas.
So we need to, Khen Rinpoche is using the word intention. We need to do the intention, he said. Anyway, we need to make our intention, now to clear up all of these difficulties that are happening in the world right now.
Okay. Yeah. And then also the young Martin Rugi in that.
Okay, so I'm going to move into the text now.
Please, page 4. Dema Yibala.
Oh, page 4, yeah.
Yeah, page 4, yeah. That they gave you good muscle.
You didn't need to translate that one.
la so and then this song that di go yen che de ta re da then this song zan da nge da da di de ma che ni ma yu ji di ani nga so song da bre da zo dang bo ji ka che so wa jin da chi ani din ni ma mu ji ge di nyam ne di che che o then de da wo ji che go ho de song zan gang de song da bre si la.
And so those first few pages there, pages 1 through 3, are supplication prayers that we usually say before we move into the main practice.
Na so ani da nga so phagi ta ji zambleng ta pen ne ga ka nga la so ba ye ba chi ta nga so me ge yan thong am chu go ya go sem ge yang de a chi ji da ru jin le ji ma ru nyan bi lo ji je na yang a nga so di thap ji la man ro na de ga sa sam bi phen tu mun do as and this song da thap ji gi go ni de set up je go yo re this song da de ne du thap setting in de cha gi yo re.
And so when we see these problems in the world with our eyes, hear them with our ears, and feel something in our mind, like a real wish, like, wouldn't it be wonderful if that were cleared up, if that difficulty were overcome? And we have those, experiences and visions and understandings. Then if we don't actually use some kind of method in order to do something helpful, in order to help clear away those difficulties, then there's not much help in just sitting around thinking about it. There's no benefit in thinking about it. And so this is what we call a druptap, which means a method for accomplishing, a method for practicing. So now we move into this actual method for using that intention.
Ani that chetang ge digi jude jagala ta tomba chom den de mu se di jude song drama nyu ju se de ba ju chimbo mambo je ta te song ani di ji ni ta mu se chi drama de drum ni de ne traba tham ro nge de ni ta te so bena tomba chom den di de ne ko nyangilin di ni lo nyeshe yama tabala tene drama ga top shu mangbu chungwa de jagala
Di ju di melan kare se wore senla
drama jungwi ju drama jungwi ju.
And so they're the original scriptural source, or where we first find teachings of Tara, is in a tantric text which is called the Tantra of the Arising of Tara. And so then coming from that, then the first times that we find these actual practice instructions or practice manuals are around the time about 20 years after the time that the Buddha Shakyamuni passed into Mahaparinirvana. Then there were many of these practice texts or sadhana texts of Tara started to appear.
Apena chik jagala ta di drama ani truthak zo de ta so pena ledrup ta teni jewa dung pa de la drama drop chini teni trapa thong he teni nima bi pa ta ni bi si wala rangji bi lo pe ni bi ta tela so pa ta pe muni kono chi jagala halle ya ke ta chimbo de so ta de so teni no chi ka se ta drama drop chini tigi teni truthap teni ya ho res mangbo chi.
There are many greatly accomplished masters of ancient India who attained their accomplishment through practicing Tara. And so amongst those, one is Nagarjuna. Another is Nima Be. I don't know Nima Be's Sanskrit name, sorry. But they say that Nima Be practiced in 7 consecutive lives following the practices of Tara and finally attained accomplishment.
This chumbare. Then da to top the ye tamchela da di jikpa chimbo je de chiduk tende da kanga re de so chabi chor da so si nam tha no yore de tsam mai ba drama singen de jikpa je chubri se dra ko wa tsam che gi chob songa yang de ni mangbo tata yore pe chajana da tata ngaso nele pe jana da dedu jagala da nze topi ta nzene se kato ngama chi hien bala zupo sama ma chi ni runi ta shandonge tende tende tene gemo chi tene lamba ni roja dikala tene lamla tata do kala tende kohua sarata tedi drama ko ta jagala ta zoya lu suidwa tende chi jeche te la di sowa ta undi teni kasire dokoni ma teni di chi ditsunda chi poche te teni mogo tongya dikal teni zubo te so ti nakha tsama tanje ane zubo te so pe chi muni tani ki pa hinde nija teni zikin yigdongwa chani ta tende la soba ta pe mambo chi hiegi yore.
And in the biographies of these accomplished masters, there are particular stories of how they were protected from these 8 and 16 fearful situations. And so there are also stories of people who were protected merely by hearing the name of Tara. And another, example of people protected by fear from Tara is there's a story that goes back where there was an old woman who had leprosy, and she was walking along the road and saw an image of Tara that was carved into a stone. And she prayed to that image, and some amrita, some nectar, came out from that image, which she drank. And after drinking it, a lot of blood and pus came out from her body, and she was cured from the illness, and her body became beautiful and majestic. So there's many such stories.
And tanga so di pela yang ta pe chi kasere nganjo ko kopsala di jute so joryore sanjo ko kopsala ta kasere tata di drama ga tuthak shibad de chungwa re ta ka chen che ngamsa tham che la ta kasere drama tuthak pa de me ba chung che che pela ta chi na sa che nge na de chung de ta drama de nin dang go de singen da de ye yore la ta pene ting sang chal sam tang sona ta tambu ni chi jar mu che ke ta di tene kar chimbo imba song chi ni tene drama da menzang kor da tene te so tin dang go so pe tambu tene pe hie de do la tene lama chama ge ta te garang song de yores.
And also, if we think back to Tibet in the time of the early transmission and early translation of the scriptures into Tibet, there were many Tara teachings, many Tara practices that were translated and composed. And also at the time of the second transmission or the later transmission and later translation of texts from India, there were really countless numbers of Tara practice texts that were translated and composed. And so in Tibet, then, anytime there is an outbreak of illness or anytime there is some kind of adverse situation being encountered, then everyone always recommends people to practice and recite prayers to Tara. And if we take this present situation, then when this pandemic illness was first starting to spread, right from the very beginning, His Holiness the Dalai Lama recommended that people practice and recite Tara and Guru Rinpoche's Benza Guru mantra. And so all of the lamas of Tibet are, of one mind in that.
And that in this chick pug nano la tapeshu, shinde nija teba chimbo of the year de yurendo, tene drama song jun singing, drama rang jun singing at the tap and the drama rang jun said the dono la cortegas, drama ranging it in a kulitsoma town in the day. Sung jun say undi tene, good as only catch out in them. Oh, that in the Tata Nepal nanola, Pemambo long, Sung jun do, the name the rang jun do. And they are not
and Tibetans, have really great faith in Tara. And in Tibet and also in Nepal, there are many Tara images that have actually spoken, and many Tara images that have naturally arisen out of rocks. That just out of a rock, out of the face of a rock, there's just a naturally arisen and spontaneously arisen image of Tara. And there are many such images in Nepal and also many of them in India.
So, and then they say, Jedukala, Taringa, so, any dreaming to that mambo, yore, Tinon and Rada Manda, not so by your tatilla. They in a Tataringa, so good in a trivia D, Any come data, so tick the pejaling back. The pejaling ba. La any tick that tanhangs chumata, tanhang se undu, tick the tangaso, tangaso murder within the chick same with Mama Lata, Cassie Sharon with the that the tapin Mama Sharajat in the village. Oh, Tindrigit and a dream to come dating in Marshall years.
And amongst the sadhana texts or practice manuals, practice texts of Tara, there are many different kinds. And the one that we're going to be practicing is one which was revealed by the treasure revealer, the Tertan, Pegya Lingpa. And it appeared to him in his pure vision or pure perception. And so if I were to speak in normal human terms, it's like something that just appeared in his mind.
So, and in that the drip up de Latini, Dungeon Nakalama, the Nizime, but the Mangon some the Upar some set that the Kabla Anita, Chironso Drumet de Na, and Dungeon Namkala, and Jitun drama. That the Coparnola Yabana Yinchin in Jada Wurda, then dig it in Ula Monsum, then Upanda, which is some che.
And so the first line reads, in the sky in front of me appears the accomplished transcended conquerors, inseparable conquests, inseparable from my Lama. And so if you're practicing this, then you just visualize Tara, just as you saw in the image above in this text, surrounded by rainbow light, and imagine that she is actually there in the space in front of you.
So, Anitela, Tene, Jepson Roa. Say on the Tadanga Sope. Simje Mambo, Tita, Kanga Dungan the City Yoreta, take Japjasa Sidita, Mena, Tenita, Japjasa Shiramandua. And then the songs and digit in Dungan, Delita, Jap the soul, Sambige, and Cassidy, Jamro down. Dig Dungan, oh, Tanga Sopena, the Jap Jasage, Marella, Jam Rose, Mare Jamro. That Jamro got up and a Dumanda with Junga de Tanga so that Mena, that Yen a chap chance, Hiramado did not satellite.
Oh, that's a
Anita, Cassidy, Jitun Drama La, and it japs Royata, Range, Simja Tamki, Duman de Chabuchis in a Japson Rova down. And he drama again had Simja Japanagi, Yigi Jang, Simja de Sujawi, Sambi Tamja Tanki Cheni. And take the ma Dangugres, Tangi Dibahina.
And so now for the going for refuge or taking refuge, you know, right now we have all these people who are who have fallen into or who are enveloped in these great difficulties. And since there is no direct medicinal cure for that, then we actually go for refuge. We request protection. We request refuge from Tara. And so we ask for protection both from us and for others to liberate us, to free us from this suffering. And we also combine that with a commitment that just as Tara was able to protect beings, we will also make ourselves one who is capable of protecting beings. And together with that intention, then we recite these next lines.
So in the beginning, I let everyone know, I sent out the text, but if you haven't received it, just go to ewam.org. Under the green Tara is a link, and you can download it in the Green Tara program on the ewam.org website. And it just takes 10 seconds to do, because some people are writing me, they don't have the text. So it is there on the website. Thank you.
On the website. So, and then you take the man down, young changes on your Gigola.
Last.
Yeah, Obama targeting Kotan, you then want to kill Ling Tumpe, Majijan to Tugi Nugi, Jim the Tugi Dani Yaka, Java Kunin, Yamapa, Yamerican, Tadala Maji, Tanzas of the Tilawan Gota, Namajavi Jamsamo, Jituma, but the Jabson, Donga Jansu, Majin, Jitin Pami compound to G, Stanapadilla.
That's it. Che, from the mandala of the hand of the protector Amitabha, whence arose from the eye of the Lord of the world, Avalokiteshvara, to the swift mother, the source of an ocean of Dakinis, the source of an ocean of Dakinis, 21 emanations of the conqueror's compassion, the glorious swift mother, activity the activity of all victorious ones, to my Lama, Lord Protector, inseparable from all enlightened ones. I prostrate and pray that you bestow blessings and empowerments. Namo, to the Venerable Mother, the essence of the ocean of refuge, I go for protection until I reach the heart of enlightenment. May all sentient beings drowning in the ocean of suffering accomplish the state of the Mother Aryatara.
Oh, so. And Dino in Namo, Javia Jamsu, Javia Jamsu, Jitsum, and then about the Japson, Dunga Jamsu, Jitsum Pami Command to Project. They Timasum, Dangua, they keep it Timasum
only the last section here, the Namo to Venerable Mother, the essence of the ocean of refuge. I go for protection until I reach the heart of enlightenment. May all sentient beings drowning in the ocean of suffering accomplish the state of the Mother Aryatara. Just those 4 lines you need to recite 3 times, not the entire section from the top.
Now, so that this some data, there's some Dangu Jimson Karisita, Hajang Karchimo Jimson Tati. Gola Chamro down. And it's Semke Nibo de Tati, Muni, Tanigeta, Karenda would in Yamne Cheba Inayata, Hind the nature Tini, the Mena Tamenda, which Sonsa and they teach the Timasum Danjavares.
And the reason why we recite these 4 lines 3 times is because they're so critically important. And this prayer combines refuge and generating bodhicitta. And so whatever practice we may do, it is totally powerless. It is kind of stripped of its power without the aspects of refuge and bodhicitta. And so it's for that reason that we recite it 3 times.
The Indai, Karsedi Dadanga so didn't the Karati Jubiag chidden down here was. They on the Jambo de Karchimore. They on the Nepeti, Semje Jachimbo, Semje Jelamia de Tichang and all that, they lavaji Mary Chui Zawa. This Sunzantini ditches.
And so, of course, because we're reciting prayer itself, we're doing this practice for the purpose of seeking refuge, for seeking protection. So of course we should recite this prayer of refuge, because that's the whole point of doing this practice. And then, of course, we also need to include that bodhicitta, because as Mahayana practitioners, as practitioners of the great vehicle of Buddhism, then there is no greater intention than this.
Oh, so. And in that train, that Sani goes on the Naso Pache, Casereta, Pache Dawachi, Siji Caseda Regdo, and the Gonda Chisugani, Drogupala, and in the Valatsare, Dongi, and in Chenamba di Shotumayona, they yam the Shoku, they didn't, the Don de so, then Netani Hebana yam the Jegre, then it did the Hakogres.
And so then, starting tomorrow, for a month or so, we'll see how it goes. From 5 to 6 p.m. on Montana time, we're going to practice this text, recite this text together. And so just in the way that I'm explaining how to recite it now, we're going to go through the text together every night.
Okay. And they did that the James Group injured to the Nagape to the and it destiny as on the
And we will recite it in a way that I will be reciting in Tibetan, and James Grubb, who's with me here, he will be reciting it in English, and we'll recite that together.
Okay. Then ta young tender with drama lata jamdoche semcheche ndelo gomje the chibin joke to bala ane ta naso tsusa siore ta penata di ta ngarang jula ta zambo great so ya sa nemba great so pa tene di dorgo yorba tenda sonza den dozela ane zambo great so ya sa dikala ta de la dun yela dun se Susa Ziggy Yelas Jobala Dunyore. Then it did Dun de and it Jetun Drumagundulata, and a Dungun in Chabamboyala, Sopa, Chabapu, some Sansiki, some Dipashaki, some Otendis, Jenny, young did take the marchi, then in Doruchis. Ho Jetun Pama Java Sikila, Sansan Chumbo, Disha. Dicton Hinisha, Irango, you put so on the get to Pamico Montasan Hose.
And so now we have visualized, meditated on Aryatara in the space in front of us, gone for refuge, generated bodhicitta, And now we're going to gather the accumulations. And so what this means here, the 7 branch practice, is that there are 7 aspects or 7 branches in our practice of what we call gathering the accumulations and purifying obscurations. And what that means is that we're trying to generate more positive and wholesome qualities and abandon or get rid of our kind of negativities. And so the way that we do that is through these 7 branches. And so within that, there are 7 aspects which are talked about in this prayer. And when you're doing this, you need to feel that you're actually doing that. Like, I'm actually making offerings to Tara. I'm actually offering homage and prostrations to Tara. I'm actually confessing my negativities as you recite these lines. And the lines read, Ho, Mother Arya Tara and all victorious ones and their heirs, I prostrate, make offerings, and confess negative actions and transgressions from my heart. I rejoice in the virtue and invoke the Buddhas to remain and teach the Dharma. I dedicate the accumulation of merit to attaining the state of the exalted mother.
So that the Chechadigala Ani, that drama de Dene Sevachim took Jibachimo the G, Tingarang Tamsong, Tamningarang, Juting Lapsong, Sambaji Gores.
Narang Timborese ure.
La re Narang Tamgorilla.
And so then after we have done that, we need to imagine that Tara is very pleased with our practice, and that from that pleasure, from her being pleased with us, she dissolves into us and blesses our mind stream.
Okay. Ta ngegi di inche de la garche here said drama so yeng choden de la gom tegin de la japsen ro semke yela dimba tang gibi chu sabin tardela and drama ji yin rang la tamyachi ta tanda tegarang yegiyos.
And so up to here, what I've said, what we've done here is that we first have visualized Tara and the space in front of us as our field of accumulation. That is our place where we generate virtue, and where we take refuge and so forth. And to Tara as our field of accumulation, we go for refuge, we generate bodhicitta, and we offer this 7 branch prayer. And then through all of that, Tara is pleased, and as she is greatly pleased with us, she dissolves into us.
Hola, so that's it. That de la tenidi honro secure, that drama de la honro muji jisamu kore. That's on the de la honro se.
And so in this practice, there are 3 sections: the preliminaries, or the introductory practices, the main body of the practice, and then the concluding practices. And of those, these were the preliminaries, or the introductory section up to here.
And
now we're moving into the main body of practice.
Ane ta nguye de dinima om ahong niyo namda yelo kwebi yen. Kumzang chutin jamso kangwebi tam rani keji tenzo pamiku sabi nisang doji yegili tuksu weji jabasi chigi jizin pami namba jentang na jinto lamoni chi rogat pongbo ngonsam yinda leni sar siti badirela.
And so now, Om Ahong, in the completely pure realm of Yuluku, array of turquoise leaves, in the center of an ocean filled with clouds of Samantabhadra's offerings, Tam, instantly upon recollection, I appear as the perfect form of Mother Aryatara. Clearly in the 3 places, forehead, throat, and heart, appear the 3 Vajra letters, Om Ahong. Light rays from the life force letter in the heart invoke all the victorious ones and their heirs in the form of the noble lady, exalted mother, together with 21 emanated goddesses dancing in light. I visualize them clearly as if directly perceived by my sense faculties.
Okay. Ta di kapsala dodung rabu na tene drama de ngarang drama gom ngarang duna ya drama gom ta ni gongo gres tambo te higins.
And so first I want to tell you that here what we're doing is we are visualizing ourself, generating ourself as Tara, but we also visualize a Tara in front of us as well, in the space in front of us.
Okay, understand? That depends also kachemore das.
This is an important point here.
And that tambo kare ta nge yangje che shiri ngarang drama gom dunla yang drama gom Tene yin tamba tende chini gongo kres.
So one more time. I am visualizing myself. I'm meditating on myself as Tara and also visualizing a Tara in the space in front of me. So we have two Taras here.
Maybe 100 times.
La.
Shigidi 1 time sigdola, de maimbangi 100 times labgosaris.
Maybe I need to say it 100 times, actually.
Yeah, la so. Ani da de chedi da ngegi digi tola ma da ndehe chagwindas da ta ni gongore sidikala da nge ma ndehe chagungure da sidela.
So I'm going to explain, why we have two here. What's the point of the two?
Ani da tangbo da pena nga drama gongure sedu. Ani chena basambala akenza jik ngarang tsani tendawo maing bachigla ta yemba je samna tango duwa rawo samgu duwas.
And so first, when we talk about visualizing or meditating on myself as Tara, you might think, this is really weird. I'm not Tara, but I have to imagine that I'm Tara. So people might think that way, right?
Ani yang jik ta pache jik dunla gom yang dia lo ta da chi. Lo pa dro ta ju do chi chi. Some gong da chi. They are drink duwas.
And we also think that this Tara in the space in front of us is just some superimposition or some imagination of our mind, right?
Okay. And this home zanda ni thoma ta ngarang ka chiri drama gomya de maimbala yembara gom yang ezona pede tsani meje lotanda wuchi rangda mare singite higins.
And so the first thing I want to say is that the ngarantan dung nika ngarang chibod.
Oh, the tambo ngarang de janala.
That's up.
Inun ta tambo dache de higin so this katsena matu yabumundu dala.
So first, what I want to say about visualizing yourself as Tara is that it's not necessarily the case you not being Tara and imagining that you are Tara. It's not just some you having some imagination or some superimposition of some false idea.
And then this home zanta dela da chi phagi ta namba sanji big tawa khutung daw de karchegi mi de tangwa hakko gures tawa khutung daw.
And so it's important here first to understand the way that things are viewed within Buddhism. That as a Buddhist, how we hold our view.
And dela da chi ngaso gu sanji chom den di se dela thamchen chemba se de ge main jagi yore. Then this home that thamchen chemba se de thamche hi go yu ke jare ngobo kang ma hi go yu ke jare was. And this home that thamchen chemba ge kandri chin zikdong thamchen chimbi zikdong semjen nam ji ni dong di namba ni de hakko go des.
And so when we talk about a Buddha, we say that we use the term the omniscient one. We say that the Buddha knows everything. And when we say the omniscient one, it means that they should know all things. And so we need to understand how it is that the Buddha sees and what is the actual situation. What is the reality of a sentient being?
Yabanda jina tan di ta thamjen ji ziktung kande re se tan di do ji re ba. This is a rock.
Okay, so I'm talking now about the way that the Buddha sees, and so the way that the omniscient one sees. So this is a rock.
Yeah. Ani ngege di this reda si labna. Ani chirong song na di samno yabo matang ji oh ta di Trava Tulu Mabu Kunding di Trame did the Kota Nyamba Rendu Tangrebas.
And so if I told you that this is gold, then if you're, just not thinking much, just like taking that, listening to what I said, you might think, this bald guy wearing red robes here is crazy.
It's crazy right people thinking like this, yeah. Ta pe di dog right tamchila serio mare dog right kachila serio ta. This homes di ngegi dinula dog do de la seg right yebijim sage in this seredas lamnayang mandikpaji yomares.
And so it's not the case that all rocks have gold within them, but some rocks do have gold within them. So if this rock had gold within it and I said this rock is gold, it's not really inappropriate to say that.
Hinaya shabja samnodana tata se revesine mare dores.
But if we think about it more carefully, then and we ask, is it gold right now? We have to say no, right now it's just an ordinary rock.
Ani ta pede teredas.
That's the example here.
And then this sonza tik pagi nangba ge sanji se di kandrijile meng takedo dinga so tangbo hakwa pe karchimbure doas.
And so in the beginning here, it's also important for us to understand what, from what perspective or why do we call the Buddha a Buddha?
Kare segi yore segi ngaso pagi chik tata semge nalola yata chik chadang mungsang jenge mangbu chik pagi tadi nangla tene yore te semde tende chik tola yore te semge rangjing na samno tangba ina digi chön thang cheta trava chikla. Semjen tamjele din rawi gitene chön trava yig sem rawde chön da trava chigla ya trava jing thongche ina ya nikop ani ngaso di chik kasir balon ro ma sonjen thokchita che dewa chik zegni ani sunkyores
La di sanje ge mingta ko bi jimse.
ore ta sanji ge ta ye semjen la ta zitong rawde
So,
ale nga taisen thok song la
now gon de anchi number sanje pa la sanje shepe da chi jumse the karare se de. Anchi song.
Gonjo ni ta no do da la gengu chadi te re da ani de song da ta ka se de chi sanji sedu kala kar chele ngu zong kor se di ta phagi sam ge chi jen ka lo li drode ani sam ge rangi chitta ba yin de ngon de jor hin sam ge ta phagi yen ten chitta ba yin de ngon de jor ong ba chi rangi chitta ba yin de ngon de jung ji la sam je se tin da wo jor ma thang ni chi la sam je se ta chepar de ji le ya ru do.
And so what we call a Buddha then is one who has liberated themselves from these adventitious conditions, which are not, which are just adventitious in temporary kind of conditions, which are not a part of the fabric of the nature of the mind. And that after being liberated from that, that they fully manifest all of the qualities which are innate to the mind. And so those who are able to liberate themselves from those superfluous or adventitious aspects of mind and arrive at that, who are able to liberate that and arrive and manifest the full nature of their mind, the qualities of the nature of their mind are called Buddhas, and those who are not able to liberate that are called ordinary beings or sentient beings.
Okay. Da sanji da simje nyingi chepar de danda tere dene semje rangin chetawa yingde kasere ji thula ni yoba de la sanji se de chetawa yingde mani ji ni jenkha la shor songen de la semje se.
And so that's the difference between a Buddha and an ordinary sentient being. And so one who is abiding in that nature of their mind precisely as it is, just as it is a Buddha. And those who are not able to abide in that true nature of mind, but carried away by superfluous conditions are called ordinary beings.
Ani 다 된다 송잔다 젠칼라 마쇼비 샘지 랑징을 럽차디갑라 아니 샘지 랑징 강인바 디기드니 고 슈크세라고 되라 가르 여르세디드니 베 닝지 랑징이 바치 다 코페데 지 닝제다 가르 이나지 히통에 또통에 체통에 제바다 닝지 랑징 진지다 된지 야기요래.
And if we are able to not fall into those adventitious conditions, but able to arrive in and remain within that nature, then then within that nature are these innate qualities of love, compassion, wisdom, and knowledge, the capacity to know anything, the capacity to realize everything.
아니 다 딘디질 야운디컬이야 다 다리 나게 드라마 세데게 되는 제 집지티 대가랑레 코 닝지 랑조 세송아 샘데 조그나바 샤중다고 찔라마도 야 대가스직 파기 드발라 딜린 데비기야 뭐보지 야기요 마다 코 샘데 되는디 조스 샤롱데다 파기지 노던도 지야라 되는 조그나바 샤롱데다 지라 아니 드라마 세 야추르 야흐여버스.
And so Tara is precisely this, precisely what I've just been describing here. And as I said, Tara is this embodiment of love and compassion. And it is that mind of love and compassion arising in this physical form, or arising in a form which we call Tara. And there's nothing more to Tara than that. There's no solidly existing thing that we can call Tara. It is this embodiment of compassion which arises or appears as a physical form from that enlightened mind.
다 배차다지 야와이나다 나서 파기지 샘게야 랑잉기 툴라마 럽송바이나 아니 나당 치롱송고 발라양디 랑잉을 럽차디 쳬바요 마레스 젠칼은 쳬디비깔라 젠 라마달 땡지니 나바나 소바드니 디 샤기요레 카실레 데와 카실레 동아 카실레 단노 나소바 젠 라마달 쳬바레 마도 던디 그 모의 삼땅송아이나 델레 쳬바 야투요 마레스.
So for example, if I had arrived into the real nature of my mind, then there's no distinction between me and you. But as long as I'm still moving about, being tossed about in these conditions, in these adventitious conditions, then all kinds of things can appear to me. There can be, comfort, discomfort, suffering, neutrality, and so forth. And so it's on that basis that we see distinctions, or that we feel a difference.
And then the song that dina ani ngarang drama gomya de ta ye nilo kangi ba de hiba chini de set ni drama gna ba sar chamdare ta de zog na ba sar chamdare ta zog na ba masana ko tin digi yo ko sem grangi ki te garang re then the song that de zog na ba da which tambare tan do dina.
And so here, when we are visualizing ourselves as Tara, what we're doing then is we understand now what that foundational nature of our mind is, and we are just allowing that foundational nature of our mind to take the form, to be visualized in the form of Tara. And it would be fine not to do that, just to know that the nature of our mind is a certain way. But the way that we're working with it here is to take that foundational nature of our mind and use that as a way, or visualize that as this form of Tara.
That day siji pena Dutch rong same grangi ndiji reda sending aso paji he yana chik days goyang kala kabuji nyamne chichi jegona nyamne ji jegona days chik sinsala kala kabonda uchi chagi yorabas. This sondan di zog nabaji te yadikala days ngasola lil habu chagi yorta tege.
And so if I were to just tell you, if someone were to just tell you your nature of your mind is like this or that, it's a little bit difficult to understand. And when you're practicing, it's a little bit hard to apprehend. It's a little bit hard to really identify and hold on to. And so when that nature of your mind arises in or is generated in or visualized in this kind of physical form, this embodied form, it's a little bit easier to work with.
Yeah, I need the children on a page in Tangus.
Well, I should give you an example here.
That pen and did the war. That deing also chetang den the which is that dilla Chetan Korang Ravachinata Sangre Nepaling Zuju Sangchi Rival. And in Delata, Kada make the Lakwa the Taco drama get Nabana which says Zuche. And it's a Zubat on the Mache digging Lola Yata, Kosong Toguta, this Zumala Sopates of Tachimot the low cheche. The Chedicala, the Carre Sangre. In and Delata the Sinaji Yadika to Valata drama Muse Tata and the Nagi Ore Tendris Ore Tangi di take the drum and the head the ma Kina Saridala. The Rigi Zoche Dinolata Chache Karagu Yimi Chata Drake Sanunikala. Ani Cheba Tenda Wode Tene Narang Tata drama Gomjes or Dauchire. Ani ta de la chen chang chini ngus so wan dab chini jitin drama ma tom chini de la tene singjela undu kabla tene di ola tata di ta na drama le wang xia dang tene ka sere thama
And other go ne anchi go to masona da chik
aula
de
so
is shade ne chik che ne chi yadro de ngi gorem go to masona.
la so ta di nga so ko de la ore chele tambo di chitang ko chike na jab xie yan de ser ta de la tambo ta ka sere dreaming zok che gre wala
Now,
zogre ta Zu Tsawa di Zing Websa ten Rajite. That day tene ngarang tata dache drama tere, dache ngarang drama in some digitere. Tan de la music hiba wong rava, womni zingjit lamni tene wang kor tene cheong jite tene hiba chen tang jide. Ten aso kundala tene di ramni che si yorva la di ramni che yore. Ti chini ta tiknika de cha cha di kabla ta digi chik drama sung yoma te so seni. Ko de so ni nguse de ne kata ngenda butende yanda junga phog no nge tari hibana yitende mongbo cha debre. Ta nga so yang tata ndino la chetong tende rang re tambo da ka seri yeg rang yin di hibi go ni drama che ane di kala na zeng pa chen chang ane ma wo ni wang kor tam yames tambala so ba tende cheni chetong da de tende chires tablam da de.
And so this this statue here, this is bronze or copper, and it's made in Nepal, and so the first like initial creation of or making of the statue is like in our practice how we understand the nature of our minds, and then we use that or we generate ourselves our nature of mind in the physical form of Tara, and so that's just like making the actual statue. The second thing that we do to a statue is we actually consecrate the statue. So inside the statue, there are many, Dharani mantras and many blessed substances and sacred substances put inside. And then there's certain, prayers and incantations that are made to consecrate and bless the statue. And in the practice, that is where we are visualizing ourselves as Tara, and then we invoke and invite the wisdom beings to come bless us and grant us empowerments and so forth. And so that is like the consecration of the statue. And then in the end, after all of that has happened, then the wisdom beings dissolve into us and we become inseparable from them. And so ani dege anchik dromaran sungjuma den la tang jatsu dawachi kandre de anchik jatsu
de la da zing work de la da drama ge music de la da yo yi bi ta da wuji la. That the coca se te so ni song.
And then then we feel that, at that point that Tara actually abides within us, that we are actually Tara. And so that's similar to, when you have these blessed images of Tara, for example, that I was saying before actually had spoken, that the image becomes so blessed that Tara actually resides and speaks from within the statue. And that's the similar to when at the end of the practice, Tara actually dissolves into us. The wisdom being of Tara dissolves into our self-visualized Tara, and we become one.
Ta ngaso mula tenda uchi gomba ina ta pache disole ngaso muyavares. Ta sangla soba tabitili muyavares. Kase ngaso mula ta tik rangjing di yore ta pena ngaso la chechong zamado ninge yore. Ta chechong zamado chenba yore. Ta tsewa yore. Kari ina ko pe ngaso la hinda ude pache da uchi ta tsama da uchi ngaso hila yode waraba. Tati yopala ani tindavi nambaji tenche deladini tsingilavaina dilita yagoyachi unides.
And so, but we're better than just a statue because we have that nature, you know. We all have this nature of wisdom, of knowledge, of compassion, of love. You know, they may be in varying degrees right now as they are manifest in our lives, but in our foundational nature of our mind, we all have all of those qualities. And when we take that which we already have and we visualize that in this form and bless it and consecrate it and so forth, it actually has much more potential, much more potency. It's much better than just blessing a physical statue like this.
Oh, so then this song kalaya. Then tata thomar rang ta chig da che se unde ta rang tata deni jitun drama ge kupa kang yaba tegana ji che sam che ngarang te ta yin sam sam ge rang yin de namba drama ge namba ji ya dene long song sam ba da che oh dene che ya de la ta da che stand ordina.
And so the first point is what we call self-generation, or, you know, arising yourself as the deity. The technical term is self-generation. And so in that, what we do is we imagine that our nature of mind arises in the form of Tara, precisely as we see in the images of Tara that we have.
Okay, then that's number D. Do
you understand that clearly?
Yeah. Oh, take a break. Oh. Ani tanga so yang dina chawa the break rate wasila.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a break here.
Yeah, the break is going to be, we'll take a 15-minute break and we'll return then. And just to let you know, we do mute our microphone, so it's not that the sound isn't working, and we'll unmute it right when we start again. Thank you.
Okay, Lasso, see you 15 minutes.
I need to have them on again.
Okay.
We'll be starting in 1 minute, everyone. Oh, it's calling me. Let me find out why. Hey. Oh, I see. Okay, I'll get you back on. Just, okay, 1 minute. Yeah, we have 109 people.
Thank you.
Let's see, panelists. Okay, we're all set.
Okay. Okay. Ani that ring so to suit is you say moon to one match this here yana yasaresila.
So I've got to keep explaining in this text before we run out of time here.
La so in tende sonzanta dodo which divaina. Da chik penada country get tola. Ani nga so good shook divaina yang. They any shook chandova de pen a chuni. Ranging the Chakor, Pechanda Dijana, then young Jege, Penatine, Mag Shula, Mancheva Tonanji, Mancheva Peshatena, Mad Shukchumuchanda, then I yin Tsonga. And it could country to Shukchumuchena, the Shukchumuruva, Pet dinner yin Jenia, Nambaki, Karachiko City, Pagi, same the same Chuni Nisiyani, Chuni Tola. Then shook said that the tendo to gala de shook chimondo yavanochi. O bit the digitally yagores.
And so, whatever we put our efforts and power into becomes more powerful. It becomes more developed. For example, if a country's government puts more efforts into, puts more resources into their military will become stronger. And so similar to that example, as Buddhists, amongst ordinary level of mind and that true nature, the true reality of mind, we're putting our efforts or putting our force, our power into the true reality, into that true nature of mind. And so when we do that, that gains power, that gains, potency.
Ni, the Rasun Zanta, Pagichi, same ranging de la young. Ta, the Kahiti la Zota de Zucheche, and it dig tolapa. Ta, Nyamne Chetonchi. Kahiti la young Teddy Mazuba Chini, then it Takanda Wutila, Tanchini, and in Yamne Cheton, not so by Yabade. And then data so that is Zota de Pachi Jetsun dreaming in Nabanda Wuti, Zota Suche, and in Digitola Yata, Digitola and Manga down the gala, then it takes Sangranging the Ya, then it Gije. Oh, then there is Jeon with that Manga there is.
So in some practices of this nature of mind, we are kind of molding that nature of mind into some kind of form in order to practice it. And in others, we don't manipulate it or change it into any type of form, but practice it directly in a more direct or immediate manner. And so right now we're working with a method where we are transforming or manipulating or creating a form from that nature of mind. So right now we are generating that nature of mind into the form of the noble Tara. And when we do that, then we receive particular instructions. And when we apply those instructions to this visualization, to this generation of Aryatara, then what we're doing then is trying to expand our experience of, or expand the awareness of that nature of mind.
Ta pe nga sogu jula ta ninje de che gore ninje gongore ninje che gore se he de pen to marabas ta di che ag ko menga de tengora di menga ten de nga so be jitun drama se de ju che yang shi jitun drama singen de karig namba yimba de hako tenda cheni teni de hako sadikala ani rang yang dream namba di gomja dikala de na yin chi Caserita, Sententamtic Matav. And it did Hinjik Ranzo Tav. Oh, that tendency long the gala, any rang magi sandwich, ranging hinge chamude, long. They long while tantini, and a coaching sang ranging the shokimondo yadi, and a lower getting to sub with the Kangana Sabateso, rangdans and royaya. Oh, this chagi orders.
And so if we want to gain compassion, just sitting around thinking, I need to generate compassion, I need compassion, isn't very helpful. We need to rely upon instructions for generating compassion. And so here what we're doing is we understand who Tara is. What's her story? What's her appearance? What are her qualities? And then once we know that, then we generate a vision of ourself as Tara, and we also imagine that we are like a mother to all sentient beings, and that we are this embodiment of love and compassion. And when we do that, then we can have this, arising of this naturally arising love and compassion, very powerful love and compassion. And when that happens, then this is an increasing of the power of our nature of mind. And when the nature of our mind becomes more expansive and more powerful, then all of those troublesome, adventitious, conditioned aspects of mind which stir up our surface level of mind are, naturally and automatically purified.
Automatically. That's all. Da kachin dortina da ngaso karse ngarang teni jitun drama ke nabachi gomche ani dige da kasiri jewon drama hinka te so tamchin da unda woji ozer teni kaman tensam ya tusong sam nan ki yore Savini some doji yigeta tosu woji java sichi kun te ani kasire chik yagita jitun drama muse chik tada ishige hlati ma jen chang yageta tablam rabotela tene ozen chuche ani teso tamchi jen chang che ani soso ndunji namkale yoksong samche ni o tentis che gogres.
Di ngasane da chik dun la da chik drama chi yoba chik gongorbe la.
Oh, that the
chi drawa chire.
Che de wala that the che zere dunji drama de che zela ngarang drama che ani dege tene ni samle ozon chuchini tene ngu se ta da hibla de jen chang che den dunji nam kala yoksong sam o tinde la.
Las. And so now we are in this part where instantly upon recollection I appear as the form of Mother Aryatara. Clearly in the three spaces, forehead, throat, and heart appear the three Vajra letters Om Ah Hung. So light rays shine out from those. And what's happening now is we are invoking or inviting the wisdom beings to come to the space in front of us. So initially we visualized a Tara in front of us, then that Tara dissolved into us and we became Tara. And now, through the light rays shining out from the Om, Ah, and Hong, and the colors of white, red, and blue light shine out and invite and invoke all of the, Buddhas and their heirs to come to the space in front of us. So now the wisdom being Tara now is sitting in the space in front of us together with all these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Yeah, that ngaso dana chik nyam de chik gom asela.
So let's do this meditation together.
And then da gom di ta di tata ngaso ta shinkam se dingen de rangnang takpa reba.
That's it.
And this one the same the ranging on the chosona de la rangnang takpa se de. De takpi gi di long twala ane ka se shinkang ko ba chi samje. And the rang same good number de jitsun drama che. Ane digi chen chang chen in dunjin namka ramang tapin dunjin namka la ya teni jitsun drama de onsom teni di yo teni chen chang chen yo song sam go das.
And so now what we're doing here, part of what we're part of this process is this, what we call visualizing the Pure Land. And when we talk about a Pure Land, we're talking about an individual's pure perception, a level of individual perception, which is purified. And so what that means is that when you have purified yourself to where you are, abiding in the nature of mind, then everything that appears to you will appear as pure. And within that space, within that expansive state of the nature of mind, then there are these pure appearances of what we call a pure realm, or a pure world, pure realm. And so that's what we're imagining then, is this pure realm, and that you yourself, that this nature of your mind is arising or appearing in the form of Tara. And then from that, then that dig yang so drama gom denipa wuser trinya chik chin chang dawati de. And then from your three spaces, of your crown, throat, and heart, then the three lights shine out from those three syllables and invite the Tara to the space in front of you.
Oh, la so. Anita gomdu ngaso tata chik sam je rangin de la hlabya la. Ani thomar ngaso sam ge chik thagila ta nam tu ta balabla so ban tho de jora. So thamji te is pha tangwa so gore. Te tangwa zo du kala. Teni ko kasre sam rangin de thola ta te se ji tangbo de ya gore se. Teni deni chen nam tu de so kali teni pha ya do res.
And when you invite Tara to the space in front of you, you should think that she's actually there in the space in front of you. And in order to do this, we need to, get our minds into that state where we're starting to see or abide in that nature of our mind. And to do that, first, we need to, kind of purify our mind and try and rest in that state. Try and rest in this state of mind where the disturbing states of mind and these temporary or conditioned states of mind fall away.
Oh, la sa ta gom kyo ase ta tangbo tari te ramba tangbo de gom kyo ase tene nge che lab yong go tene ramba kin ro se.
So let's do this step by step. So start at the beginning, and then I will give you step by step instructions, like now do this, now do this. Ani tambo le anchik ta toni ro chi karise sem go rang chen ro chi gom go chu re la.
La so ta tangbo chi sang go dine chi walam na tho de do la. De thamche tene pha ka se de ga sa dine ya da. Pha ta tisong nam tu che se na de do ta ka chen pha che jin ya se de si.
And so at the very first, let's just cut off all of your thoughts of the past, present, and future.
Oh, la so ta ti nam tu pha tang bi ge ani di rang yin kang yin ba te ani zog na ba drama ge na ba chin che long go se.
And then allow that state of mind, that nature of mind, which is free from these disturbing thoughts, to arise in the form of Tara.
아니 다 파르텔 따지니 데 가세 사탑탑지 사 어레 가세 지 사탑탑 사빈 조드나 아니 디기 니 솜네드네 오저솜 추제 아니 지진드마 젠장 든디나 카리 요송 삼세.
And when you're doing this, you can look at the picture to try and clarify the visualization. And so after you have done this, after you've arisen yourself as Tara, then imagine the lights shining up from your three spaces and inviting the wisdom being Tara to the space in front of you, and imagine that she's really there in front of you.
아니 다 나서 그 셈바 흉치휴 때사데다 눈지 드라마될 때 근데 랑판 지메게 나바지니 야효시.
And while you're doing this visualization, we're mainly focusing upon the Tara and the space in front of us, and not focusing upon or not grasping upon ourselves.
라서 다 눈지 드라마 데라 아니 다 찍나서 맨더세 운드칼라다 찍 잠블랭드나 요새 참마 소소 로이 랑제제니 아니 예 제기 때라 로이 랑제니 아니 디노나 제 요새 고세 참마츠다 전부 쳐도 꺼지니 되는 피하당 데라 소바게 아니 다다가서 더란 쳐봐 뭐도 된다비 쳐봐 섬지 마차바치 나카카만 초유 제제 아니 디마 오거든 나서 책임다는 거고요시라.
And so now we have what's called the mandala offering, and what we do here is that we imagine with our mind that we take up everything in the world, and we bring it up as an offering to Tara, and we imagine that everything in the world is piled in heaps in the space in front of us. And also imagine other offerings, like the offerings that we have on the altar here behind me. And you imagine like a great, unimaginably great, huge amount of offerings. And then we're going to recite these words from the text, the next section, which is called the mandala offering.
라서다 데데 송다다 랑낭기 싱간다 디 에네 드라마 데라 다나 샘티히라 나 마잉바체니 데랑 나 섬진데 데나 오마호 문제이든 추딘 장소다 달릴롱규 게츠멘데 다예녀도 추두드다니 데니 장점 님보 탑집 데메 투기 송기 제츠마세 디게드니 당다데 데니 트랭고레스.
So keeping your attention mainly focused upon Tara and the space in front of you and the pure realm of appearances, this pure land, then recite the following words. Oma Hong, together with the ocean of clouds of actually gathered and mentally displayed offerings, I offer my body, objects of enjoyment, collection of virtue, and the mandala. May I and others gather the accumulations and purify obscurations from now until the heart of enlightenment is reached. Noble lady, hold us inseparably with compassion.
나서다 때난 징쳐바지 해기도 아니 르롱주 다 지바 나서 된 잠블랭데 차 참아 루룩제제니 Yechekitana, yes, Hagidawita, then the Yamanda Chikitan Ruchini, Digan, Sosogulu Longjo, the Jibatea, Ponchini Lapake, Yachini, Bogotoas.
And so like it says here, we talk about these offerings, and we offer all of these things, and we also offer, it says, like our body and objects of enjoyment and so forth. And so often what we're doing then is we're imagining all of those things collected onto one kind of surface, or one, as it says here, the mandala. And so often what we're doing is visualizing all those things piled on top of this mandala tray and making an offering of that.
Ta deche, any digang dwala ta, Jetsun Dramake, Yandente so, Dren Jimbala, any Konga, na ta and then a Dramani Hitaki in San Samayore. Sanda, any Kongo di Yandenta, so ya Dren Yin there, any Tabate Mandang Yoris.
And so next there is this prayer, which is the praise to the 21 Taras. And so here, as we recite this, we should be thinking of the qualities of Tara. And so in the text here, it's going to mention the names of all the 21 Taras. And as we're reciting these verses of praise, then we should be, keeping those qualities, wholesome qualities and powers of Tara in our mind.
Adita Patela, Java Kunchina, Tuki Javi, Mali Javin, Telekundama, Yamapamu, Young Jema, the Sunum to the Namjari Zema, and Jizema, Yendema, Yenija, the Singing Adiduma, details of the Northern. The hidden the Drabunjun, the 20th and the Rajima, and Babi, Jima, Pamenama, Mother, Chemo, Hamjamo, Trema, the Jima, the broken sing so later, Machi, some of them, the Chilari, Jitsuma, City Secretary.
And so it reads, I bow to the mother who gave rise to bodhicitta in the presence of all the victorious ones, mother of the Buddhas, the embodiment of the enlightened activities of victorious ones, glorious swift mother Sarasvati, mother treasury of supreme merit, the supreme or the victorious Kurukule, the terrifying, the unconquerable, victorious over others, Singding, forest liberator, victorious over the three worlds, giver of wealth, the one who brings auspiciousness, conqueror of hordes of enemies, one with a wrathful expression, completely pacifying, blazing with light, immeasurable for power, great peafowl, unconquered victor, mountain hermit, shining with rays of light, one who liberates all beings from the ocean of existence, Gay, and I place my hope in you. Noble lady, please fulfill my wishes.
Oh, so that did Nona, Annie, Casere, Yunden Jabadon, and a ready Yinden Sambayadon. Oh, then this Jenny, young Sosok Redder, ya, that Casel, that Sosuki Redder, Soya, Segumarella, or the Nankaduas.
And so within this, we mentioned the qualities of Tara, all the individual names of Tara's emanations, and we also pray or really request her to fulfill our hope, our wishes.
So, and dang tata di yonde te jogi yobata chenabatana pachetis kotu kujiri inange yonde joya politics hugindas.
And so I think you know what I mean when I say that it's expressing her qualities, but I think I should say a couple things about this.
And then the song da jedangji that drama de GDC doata Java kunji chenga tukje sekidoa ani tata di khong tsawi lamanda wota pena ngadi jabo dewa ta ngadi jabo tsomma yinba ta nangba ge pena tata da ji hina sanji tong si yore ani sanji tong reri gen dunla tukje nang yore te jing Java kunji Kenga Toki is it, Matila Putigi Nangin Chini, Nanyaga Toki, Nankiore, this on it. Two songs with Sanji Tamchigim Dundalta, Toki Nankiore, this here.
And so it says, I bow to the mother who gave rise to bodhicitta in the presence of all the victorious ones. So in the story that I told you, we were talking about her generating bodhicitta before her teacher, whose name was Nadri Jyopo. But it wasn't just before him that she gave rise to this mind of bodhicitta, to this intent of bodhicitta. It was before, if we count from right now, from our time right now, we say that there have been 1,000 Buddhas. And so before all of those Buddhas, we call the Buddhas of the three times, before all Buddhas, before all of the victorious ones, Tara had gone before them and made this aspiration of bodhicitta.
The Sevi Jensen that it's so Chitang Rang Kone Ngo de Sanji de Inayanta, Rodun Zaya Chedelan, Telang Chedelata, Sancho Simbig Nabachin, Sancho Simin Nabachin Yogi.
And so the reason for saying this, one aspect of this is that though in reality, in essence, essentially, she is a Tara, Tara herself is a Buddha. For the enacting her enlightened activities, she appears in the form of a bodhisattva, someone still practicing the path.
The Jidon days stick. Or the Yatadi Jason would machine and decided. Talk yes. Then Jabi Yum Jose undo. Dayan, the two some Sanji Tamji Pong de Gabla, and in Digi Gulu. The knee Bungangedi. Young number, Pena Tombachom de Dachina, Yum Jimalanzita. Then the Yum Janaba Chechini. Caseo, Tachi Pena Sanji de Sotamjila, Tachi Mark, that Mark Cachinda, Pugulata, Lugin for a tender within Jabi Yum Jose.
Take out the
Oh, that take out the Chinata, Jabi Yum Jose on the Tachi. Pena Sanji de Sunjiten Kana Zone the Takasi, the Kuluteso, that day at Amareva, that Maltenchinis, that Dinga Suzuko the Yungu Yorava, Tenda Wachini, Yum Chose, Teji Yana Direla.
The Nidachik Sanji Regi, Anti Yum Dawachi, the Dromaki Namtro Dawachi, Tigorella.
Oh, La Re, the Yana de Corella.
And so it says here that that she is the mother of all the Buddhas. And what we can directly understand from that literally is that all of the the Buddhas who have come in this world were all born from a mother's body, and each and every one of those mothers was an emanation of Tara.
That's a tongue get some mare up in a drama get Namdro Setukalape. Now so Muganon up a shoe, Mambo yours. Tapena Keda Chihudo, which you're gonna de Jagala, Chikasi, Mendarava singing Zondabo, Sakasi Zondabo, Bella, Ani Tata Caseo, the Hin Soja singing Zondabo, and then Rolla Tata de Tahi Chendan singing Zondo, Mambo, that Chetanga Nanola, that dig it to Pape Mambo Yaki Oris.
And it's not just them. We talk about many different emanations of Tara amongst the human realm. So in India, we talked about Mandarava and Sukhasiddhi, Yeshitsogel in Tibet, and Tashi Chidren. And in Bhutan, Tashi Chendren. These are all women who were emanations of Tara.
Then young tets on the Mahim Chik Tony the ninja said they are dead and young Yaki or that. Uni young Yadi de Yaki. That Hamji de Gombala Tanchini, Ani Driver see the and it's on Sumbacha, see the Sanji Chando to Galata, young Chihuno so did.
And then it is the case that that all of these mothers, literal mothers, physical mothers of human mothers of the Buddhas were Taras, but that's not just the point. The real ultimate understanding of the word mother is that the mother is the union of compassion and emptiness. And it is from the enlightened intention, that enlightened thought, or that enlightened state of mind of emptiness and compassion is from where all of the bodhisattvas arise. And those bodhisattvas eventually become Buddhas. So it is said then that that is the ultimate understanding, the ultimate state of motherhood, is that enlightened state of mind, or that enlightened intent of the union of emptiness and compassion.
Ani di nyinche da samba de la mali jabin tlen kundra masai do Sanji da tangje samba tang jigin tlen de
And then it says also the embodiment of all of the enlightened activities of the victorious one. So it is Tara who is actually enacting, putting into action all of these enlightened deeds of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Ani dini dang guru singyol papsavi jog twala ani teso terka teso be jese damba de jiba chatang ze o dendres jini da pöle pe hajang gi chobja chimu jendong de da soja la thok gu yore pe tendawo.
And so like one example we can give is like la thambo la karasu nga cho de anchi leka da chi che go ni ande le an ro
da pe na de ngoror mo chi gi da pöle chi da tlen ji dog gu hora wala. Da di dubdu ka la chu ji hia la samtang so na tham soja hyugdo wa.
No.
yin hia ka le khobo yore wa da de songza hingen je. 차장 휴차디 지마당 거를 뭐지 승열 법 마차가 받을 휴차디 제차디 타마게 따지 가르 제고호나다 대소 텔레비아니 zonde 다 가르니 지 틀린 차장데 소자게 제래 발라.
And so for example, one example we can give is like Yeshitsugyal with her enacting the activities with Guru Rinpoche that, you know, when Guru Rinpoche was abiding in Tibet, Yeshitsugyal did the activity first of receiving all of his teachings from the time he was there until the time that he left for the land of the Rakshasas. And then once he had left, then she performed all of the subsequent activities, which were, for example, like placing a lot of the teachings in hiding as treasures, and de mayembala kare nang rela da chik tela bia tang
da tela bia tang chik ma nyen ju choji gun hie yao na kare che ko na ta so mongbo ji jere wala da.
Anyway, yeah, concealing the teachings as treasures, spreading the teachings and through oral instructions and so forth. So she, you know, was the one really performing, enacting all of his enlightened activities in Tibet.
Atun do da ji dina pe na tang guru phamni ta da lo tong tha gang na do ya ge yore. Darong khong gu dan tlen da won tlen se di le ka de wala ta ta chuma khong gu le ka darong je de do da. 다 제대야디 찍다 딘 소자를 알리디었다. 단 소자게 데 로마게 데 마지 욕야나 같이다 다다바들 니 탑이어 말이다. 돌드나. 단 소자라 수바 코소그다 빼 찍딜 슉 답야디 갈라티니 다 다다바디고 바로 마치베 니기도 어때.
And so, you know, in brief, to summarize that, you know, it's been over 1,000 years since Guru Rinpoche was in Tibet. And his activities are still, you know, alive in this world. And that is, you know, from one hand, on one side, it is totally reliant upon the activities of Yeshitsugyal. And so if Yeshitsugyal had just cast aside all of her disciples, then these teachings wouldn't still be able to remain. And so, but the fact that she did enact those activities, the fact that she put so much effort in, is the result of that is that we have had an unceasing transmission of these lineages.
La sota. Oh, dende sondan da denda wota ji sanje tamche da zangjo simba tamche la da denda wo jing tren dab de da da de nga so pen da wo da was.
And so anyway, that's just one example, but in the text it says that she's the embodiment of the enlightened activities of all the victorious ones, of all the Buddhas.
Ani ngama jabjin chinzer mo chela da se loma de da se da ne da dan chen ten ma song ani ya hyu che de che de ani chinzer mo che ge da che tang ge che ro den de che ne lama chi ge che go na che da za som se ni yo ra la za som di no ni mi se ge de ne de khan ru gu dru ba de che se den ji go res. 대유나 안에 가서는 틀려도 야부 차그레스. 근데 이제 송도와.
And so I don't remember the name of the student, but there was one student who Khen Rinpoche was giving instruction to. He said, if you really want to be able to have some real effective like work for helping beings, then you need to put a lot of focus into an appropriate and a well practiced accomplishment of your dakini practice amongst the three roots. So in the tantric practices, we have something called the three roots, and one of those three roots is the root of the dakini. And anyway, if in order to be able to have a flourishing of your activities for benefiting others, you need to practice that very well.
Tata di nonulaya tata di zo di danya binti kwase ji yore di wog de bala dupthau ke nanola ta danya ba se ta su su ge ji mse ji ge no le ka khar chena ya ji yapo ji tsani mare ge dengen do ta ma khil de do wa ji le na de ma de ni le na de ma de som le na de ma de ba tham ji ka li cha no de do danya ba se ra da danya ba that theater desola then so jita ka drama la so bata then yedam so then khando ko dubare then chungwa ina then deso tam jela pe phembo then de jini yabares.
So there's something that's mentioned later in this text, and there's a particular expression for it, which means like basically people who are never able to accomplish anything. So they try one kind of effort towards something and it never works out. They try again, it never works out. They try again, it never works out. And it says that for people in that type of situation, it's particularly efficacious for them to focus on a aspect of this feminine divine, such as Tara, some kind of dakini practice.
So that ding garishia the dream yunden train the say data yunden desoya tranche. Ani sosuga dedan raware tokje jine ani sosuga di dramani sakjin sente so man berje ani de soji deris.
And so the way that we deal with this or work with this praise is that the point of me talking about this is because I was telling you that you should be thinking of the qualities of Tara as you recite this. So as you recite these lines, you should understand what these lines mean about these qualities of Tara. And as you're reciting that, you should also be making an aspiration, a bodhicitta aspiration, to be able to work in the same way that she does, to be able to accomplish the activities that she does, and then go through and recite all of her names as a praise.
That they don't need the Dana Koya Teachita Rang Tonida Ninja Nipoteta Yamimba. Tapen and Aranda Sanchigo one that Sanchosum Bachigo one that Kachen, they Sosugi Yamimba, Hakoya the Bekarchamo was. Saluni Jake Pomozo, the he was some not tongue there, Maimba. Muni Nangata Kasi Yam Karimba de, then here the Karchambores.
And another important meaning to understand from this is that your own mind's emptiness and compassion are your mother. Like if you're going to become a Buddha or a Bodhisattva, that Buddhahood or that Bodhisattvahood will be born from your own mind's nature of emptiness and compassion. And so that's another thing that we need to think about, and not just to think about our mother as some kind of, external woman, but our mother spiritually being our, empty and compassionate nature of mind.
So, that Dorduna Tendravi Yajugutin Chepatima Sum, Tabatima Sum downgrade. And that day said nada, so you pagi rang sem only ninja, tabada. And it sem ranging the sotamji ya long to back. That's a bit dig the mangare. That the zone of the hako grace.
Ani mandal tsarson dopa tsarson ra.
Rela no re mender or rendidola mender tsare gila taba. Oh, re taba di lugar vala. Taba de nin some dun se dola.
No.
Tambo cheba cheche, nin taba nin da.
Che chupa son de anchik de mandal sugravala.
Oh, re so menders in the digido.
That's it.
Mender tsati taba tsani. The name Mender Yangja Tsati, Taba Tsasum, 양자 나 맨더 차직 근데 따바 차든 오 딘데스 진이 인식도 와.
And so as we're working with this emptiness and compassion and faith, what we're doing then is we're rising up. We're actually like stirring that nature of our mind. We are generating or making it become manifest, making it kind of more, making it more apparent to us. And so when we do this, the way that we do this prayer, this praise, is that first we recite the mandala offering once, and then we recite the praise twice. Then we say the mandala offering again once, and we say the praise 3 times. And then we say the mandala offering again, and then we recite the praise 7 times.
So that chenamagin nenga munite hakosongasi gujide rang juri yebigede yomde ya ngonde jorgu yore. Jorag tapte dendrejel tayonde ene ngaso di ko kaseri semle pentoduas.
And so you understood the point that you have this mother, which is part of your mind stream, and you're trying to make that mother become manifest. And you're making it manifest through this method of this practice.
And kashijig deji hamagoji. Jig slula jig drama say jig indi namkano tikili jig. Then Yabanda was some tongue, and it tama deji yona mena, dealing it is so at the panky yona menanda. Then dig some tongue thing mabuduas. And then this home dig can attention, rang jula panky yamet, and so sitana hakuri, the gendal trago mare, the panky yona mena tobache, where your mare, the copan digi or a terrace.
And so some people don't understand this point, and they just think of Tara as some external thing in the space in front of them that exists out there that they're praying to. And then they start to have all these doubts. Does Tara really exist? Is that really a thing? If I pray to her, is it actually going to do anything? Is that actually going to help? But if you know the points, if you know these key points, then you'll know whether that's real or not. You'll know whether this is beneficial or not. You'll know from yourself, because you'll gain the benefit of practicing it if you're practicing it, actually knowing the key points.
Okay. Ani da karina je hietan so da je cha shandola.
I thought I had something to say, but I forgot what I was going to say.
La so. And the song da ore da nge tari ngoni hiepa de je yo mare. Kasi nangba dig nalo le hiedi. Zobu kangan de ngaso rangju ni yung yorda. Di rangju gu dongan de 타토 가두 있잖아. 접이 채다고 될 이야기 yor 마도 예직 라과게 생도야다 접도야다 붙는데 깨지 얘기요 말이에요. 랑주그 강한테 가두 싸바니니 매바 차는 디디 접이 채다고 타도 될 이야기 yor 봐. 디 송잔 샘지 랑긴 코로나를 흡디 에네까지 동아 탐지 접이 채대. 다 대이 채들 에네 가서다 샘대야 홍고데 근데 송잔다 던다 조 접이 채대야 무송고래스. 야바 타동도고디 동아 탐지 세니 샘지 연대 용수 조바 뭔데 주비 체 겁드나 아니 타톡 주비 체 야제 아니 드나바디 칼린로약 오디체고 그래스.
And so one thing that we began with, we shouldn't forget, and that was the purpose of refuge. And so we need to understand that primarily, suffering is something which comes from within our own mind stream. And the real kind of limit at which point you could say that you have received, refuge, that you have actually gone for refuge, is when your inner suffering has been completely eliminated. And so And so actually refuge then is to protect you, to make you overcome your own inner suffering. It's not a sense, there is no sense of going for refuge that someone's going to take you by the hand and pull you out of some situation. And so if we if the suffering, if we are completely separated from, or if our suffering in our own mind stream is completely eliminated, then that is the point at which we could say we actually received the refuge. We actually gained the power of that protection. And so, it's towards that end that we are actually trying to generate or trying to make manifest these qualities of the nature of our mind. We are trying to expand that, make that nature of our mind more expansive and more manifest to ourselves. And so what we're doing then is, we're slowly working towards that point that we could say that we have actually fully been protected or fully received that refuge, which is the point when all of our suffering is eliminated and all of those innate qualities of our mind are fully manifest. Do you have any questions about that point specifically? Khen Rinpoche ngazo chuchi cheka ma to yomare la tanda.
Ani dadi o na tagung gongda yora la chitu sambani yori ra.
Yomare.
Really?
Terin chuchi ma to yomare.
Laso ani ta deche ani dini ma ta teni di jini ta drama kundini teni ma wang shi se de ta.
And so the next point then in the text is that the receiving of the empowerments.
Laso ani dela tsik dela jen opa mengo tsage chimko ta jikten wangzo jeni leng thongpi maju jamso truki nyugi ya jomden toki dani nyeje jawa kunjin tene nyama Yamere kuncha lama ji chansa sonda zina wanggo to jitin pama dumi ni samle oza kaman tingsa ramjik cha dag ni ji tambi wangi ta pama ji ki oye ranga ta rani jomden dimi kosabi sadong sungdo tangi pama tas.
And so then the words read, Kye, from the mandala of the hand of protector Amitabha, whence arose from the eye of the Lord of the world, Avalokiteshvara. The swift mother, the source of an ocean of Dakinis, 21 emanations of the conqueror's compassion, glorious swift mother, the activity of all victorious ones, to my Lama, Lord Protector, inseparable from all enlightened ones, I prostrate and pray that you bestow blessings and empowerment from the three places of the noble lady, exalted Mother Tara. White, red, blue, and yellow light rays radiate sequentially and simultaneously. They dissolve in my four places. I obtain the four empowerments. Arya Tara joyfully dissolves into light, then into myself. I appear clearly as the accomplished transcendent conqueress. Look upon the absolute exalted mother, the unity of lucidity and emptiness. Om Tari Tutari Turi Soha.
Adi wang se de karere se de ta sem nibate ya ta mirong de che patela. Mirong de che pa pena da ngaso sabanji phagi sala lo yo na tela chatla so ba lo ni.
And so what does empowerment mean? Empowerment means that we make a potency in our mind able to rise up, able to ripen. So just like when we put a seed in the ground, we put water in it in order that it may be able to arise or grow.
And then the one shatong would de tene ozer or de tene ke dremige ke dream hinka somni jen dream hinka tewa da jiba yini tene ozer tene triche ani ngarang tende tene ni yela pong dukala ani soso gulunga yi song ta tene jiba ta jiba chasang ta cheni ani tamche ta ne ta jinga so phagi ti tari ti walap ta bu ta di ka ser kanga ti ta sama pha ta cheni te phache soso ta ji drama number ta soso ya ta muni rangin sem rangin cheta ba yin ngon de george tene drama da phache ya me zo no ra tende ji ji bin jog de bala ani drama te öd tham öd cheti ngarang la ma tham ani rani tene di drama number de garang ta go des.
And so then the way that we receive the empowerment is that lights shine out from the Tara in front of us, from her crown, throat, heart, and navel. And those lights shine out, and then they strike us in our same four places. And when they do that, it purifies all of our obscurations of our body, speech, and mind, and the joined body, speech, and mind. And by that, we are utterly purified, meaning that all of those, adventitious and conditioned states of mind are all purified and eliminated. And all of our natural qualities of our nature of mind become fully manifest. And at that point, then the Tara and the space in front of us, we have become equal to her. And so she then is pleased, dissolves into light, and then dissolves into us. And then we become one. And then, ane thama de leanche karisa da chik the wood shuni rang la timni da rani da che dungi drama de da chik ni me de tim song sigurwala. Ale. Da de chi gogmendo.
Na rebala ta
That's
drama de wang na ngarang la tham do dikala ngarang drama te karang chabre ta
re de ngamne da drama yin bara.
oh ta tari de nga so din zimeg na bal ya ya rebala tari de bala tambo ngo ni ngarang drama di che so mare bela
Re.
de da din zimeg na ba ta kon zimba me ba che ya ya reba ta
That's it.
ta de ko mintini yangje ko shira de le sam ta ki yo mare
Mhm.
tan dini ma hlab ni dini cheba che to ba che drama drip dini thamada ka che ngarang uni tani ki ta hi pa de ngarang ma hyong ni ta ngarang uni hi pi drama cha song sam ki yore la
That's it. And so at the beginning of the practice, we visualized ourselves as Tara, but then later, once we started to focus on the front visualized Tara, we no longer particularly pay any attention to what we are. But it's at this point that when we receive the empowerments and Tara dissolves into us, that we become one with the wisdom deity of Tara, and we become like the actual Tara after receiving the empowerments and her dissolving into us.
oh la so ane dindis che dini di tara tari ti tari tere soba se dingen de da drama ge ta nga so mala suk singe ji duwa dendra wote dini di suk den dere se
And so then we recite this mantra of Tara, the Om Tari Tu Tari Turi Soha, which is said to be the heart of Tara.
Tene yang tsamre la pena suk de tene yege men yang chadu gre ta pena jig nga da jig la re ta pena ama jig la tene pugu de ge tene ama ge men di pu de na tene ko ama de nyewo chi tana ro go yang da cha gi yor ba ta den da wo chi nga so yang tana ta chen de drang che suk dan chen da ko ka se nyam de drang che ene drama mai ba gom ene drama te so so nyewo cha de cha gi yor si
Bugu de amagamin la bu. Ama bu.
ta pena nge gi chele justice lab de na
Now,
a chi gi ji to na ji gu cha gre ba ta
now you.
ko den da wo re suk de ya nga main de am be yang ta ka se drama suk de yigi na ba yor ba de yang de mi pa de ta suk de so ko de ka le cha ka chen da de che de ene drama da so so nyewo cha jim sen de
That's it. And so when we recite the mantra, then we are becoming closer to Tara, because just as if a mother calls to her child's name or the child calls to the mother, the other one has to pay attention to the other. When your name is called, then your attention is called. And so within the mantra here, this life force mantra or this heart mantra of Tara, her name is contained within that. So when you recite this, you're actually calling her attention and calling her to become closer to you.
Oh, la so ta di ge ni nga so da ngu yi ge ta di nyam len de tani te karang res ta ngondo de ngu yi ro ba la ta ngu yi ge nyam len de te karang res.
And so that concludes then the main practice. So we went through the preliminaries or the introductory section, and now we went into the main section, and those two are now concluded.
Teni ta jog te la ba la. Oh, ta di ma song te do nga de. Oda la so da ne xin ni. Ji jo ma. Okay. This book. Lasso, any that dinima, any deeper dwala, tati jure, any soka deso tangna, any deeper lachi, the omben, pema sado samaya, manapalaya, pema sado tinoba, the tender members, became members, another members of Mamadi Savakamasam. When the moment the Bama, pema sado samaya sado singing din, sadi any dinimata. The Jabluk na sokan doya that sokan dona and cannot grace.
So if you're going to do this together with the protector practice, the soka practice, then you would recite this Om Pema Sato Samaya Manapalaya, this 100 syllable mantra, and then go down to the Shotran Katila Yorela.
Oh, the Jabluk take around and dula, Hong Jo Ying Jamusing it in the Shajan Rogore, Yijan Don Sadi.
And then you go just to the next page where it says Hongjo, Queen of Basic Space, Ekadzati.
Oh, then Don Sarevala.
And it is Shakwa de Donga Marbella.
Oh, Shakwa then Donga Marella, 2 Yona Madun Donga Mare, 2 you didn't Dongore.
Okay, so this confession prayer you normally wouldn't recite unless you're doing a Gana Chakra feast, a Tsok practice. So if you're just doing this practice and then with the protector practice, you recite the 100 syllable mantra, then you jump directly to the next page to the Hong Jo, Queen of Basic Space.
And then go you compound on Jones, Union and Jokini. Go you compound on Jones, singing Dwala. And it did Hasadi. And then Magi Demachonga joked and Rogore.
And so then you continue reciting down to the top, the end of the first set of verses on page 12, where it says, "May the state of the 4 kayas manifest." And then you jump down to page 15.
Oh, Diana.
Chonga Marala. Sorry, 1 second. Chonga Marala.
Ale. Ale, oh, Dini Yan Rogu Duala, Tata di Chongano Remdala.
Oh, not 15, sorry.
Tari di Soga di Tsatsadikala, and it Tari Muntuchini, Dema Chugan Jotin Manda Gudula.
And then you jump back up to actually page 10.
And in the whole Madani to Pamiking and Sha Gosan Tanse, he Lana Chuki get to some. Sancho, but the Lama Jituman, they may took it with Tahi Husitan and Dangoduala.
Ale, this Shaparoala.
Or the di Shapa down Jik and the Duala.
So sorry, but we got mixed up here because normally the arrangement of this book is set up in a different way. So anyway, you do say this confession, but not immediately. You do the Om Pema Sato, then you skip down and do the protectors, and then you come back to the same spot and you do recite this confession because it's not only a confession, it's a confession, dedication, and other things combined.
That did not touching us of the Chepa, the Flapa, the Sobat and Digita, the Shapa Yang Shijedua, Shapa Chia, Dang, or that is what that is what they do say.
And so it's confessing like anything that if you left out any aspect of the ritual or cut, forgot to say a particular word, or if you inserted something that wasn't a part of the ritual, then you confess any mistakes that you may have made in terms of that practice and so forth. And then after you've recited this, after of being protected inseparably with compassion by the Lama, which is the last line of that then you skip down. So you skip down to page 15 at the bottom, the last 4 lines there, which are the awareness beings depart to the Dharmadhatu and through the power of commitment return again. Hold us inseparable from your care until enlightenment. Grant the auspiciousness of fulfilling the 2 purposes and all our wishes.
Jig din the so and the Baji Dua, the Nijum den di Masing that is so much the Rambagin the Gogresila.
And then we would recite these Tara aspiration prayers, which are on the next page.
Okay, la so in this song that di any Savi get the young that the top in this Jiresila.
So that's the main practice of this this sadhana.
Okay. Any Kadis Sigba Penantic Sosola mixer getachi Tanda the Duguhoina. Any Deman Yeshig Nantana. Yagitari Omtari Ditari Soa, singing in Dansa, did Amtari Ditari Sa Sadikatina, Lansoma Yongche, any Deman Yeshig, Tinimata, Ramba in Jipate, Soso Caret Yabuhona, Teso Chede, the Neri Mata and the Deeper Tea Logo.
And so if you wanted to, then at the point when you were above reciting the Om Tari Tutari Turi Soha mantra, you can jump down to the Karese wore Khen Rinpoche, the Om Tari Tutari Dun Shimbika Dun Deni Dinima Shotan Nishi.
Tare Omtari Tutari Soa singing the Tatsavi Barvala.
Oh, Yola.
Sani Techi any Legiola. Teni Indana Mata, Shiva, Jiba, Wang, Trapo, Tene May Jibale Japan, Neg in Jibale, so Duala.
Now,
De Soso Karaguko Natanan, de so che, and a yarn roche, Tene Yijanima, Tarina in Dangore.
and the day Lejor de Kawayare Dinala.
Oh, Demanation Utanadula.
Revela.
Landu.
The Rangin Yinke Sapun.
Oh, Dana di Tambo Shiva de Duala. Rang took his having Hivilina, 100 piece, drama Namka Kawan to Dada Senji Tanti. Neither the dropper chico Mintu Jituna Gupamon is put the Hivin dropper som Benza Tare, Sawan Bengan, Pitinkuris, what that depend on the Hivili to Tungrevala.
Lasso, Dahakosonla. And so so the Om Tari Tutari Turi Soha is the general mantra to accumulate for what we call the approach phase practice. And then we have the what's called enacting activities or accomplishing activities. And so if in connection with Tara you have some particular activity you want to accomplish, like any of the 4 activities of pacifying, enriching, magnetizing, or subjugating, or particularly overcoming the fears of particular aspects of fears of the elements and sickness and so forth, then you can skip down to page 20, and individually they have, it says in particular if you want to accomplish the general pacifying activity, then you recite this from the seed syllable of my heart, the taras of spontaneous accomplishment of activity of pacification, and so on down. And then there's this other mantra, Om Benzatare Bingnen Piting Kurusoha, and then for increasing there's a separate visualization and so forth going down, so you can do those. And then when you finish that, you go back to where you started, back at the bottom of the Om Tari Tutari Turi Soha, and continue the practice from there.
Oh, so that thing also ji here in the ta kase ji toyamendo tende sonza round drama gom. Ani tada ne da dan da pache de so hego na tene rang toka ne pe drama pa de me ba patruchi ni ani dig ne dan dig de so hesong samba che ngen na churon so pe chi tengi ins.
So we don't have time to actually get into all the particulars of all these individual things, but if you want to visualize particular thing, then you can think of Tara overcoming all these illness and suffering and so forth, just by imagining while you're reciting the main mantra that countless taras emanate from your heart and go out, and just imagine that they overcome all of these situations, that they eliminate illness, that they overcome disturbances and so forth. So I've got an example I can show you here. Look at the camera real quick.
Okay, and the video de chenamachi 0 na ase.
So look at this.
Yeah, please you check there. It's good.
Like this. This is His Holiness the Dalai Lama reciting the Tara mantra.
Yeah. 아니 디 드라마 데라 당보 히바레 참아 까포레 도와 까폰 추고 도와 아니 지바라 참아 세포레 왕라 마포레 드라포레 장크레 디 문다바 디솜 요레시드나 이제다 문다바 이제
Tapo de Jankara.
라레
So if you look carefully at the taras coming out, they're in 4 different colors. So the white ones are doing pacifying activity, the yellow ones are doing enriching activity, the red ones are doing magnetizing activity, and the green ones are doing subjugating activity.
다 이게 양제적 땡게 요다시 치롱송그 토가는 데도 판투송 삼고레스.
I'm going to show you this one more time. So just imagine that these taras come out from your heart like this. Oh yeah.
Okay, and the party James tang to jire chenabal di video denge tang yong go se.
So I think maybe James can send this to you. So I'm going to try and send it to you.
Yes, we can send it, and we can get it to everyone. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Absolutely. 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 Okay. 아니 다 다리가 소 디 다디 야 된다고 레기 드라마데 답에 같이 휴지 저기요 자반다고 되는 챌린지 저기 되래 아니 디 강드네 다 가서 디 믹스에 내긴 직발에 끼비하게 디 아니 다다 공다 따버리 때때선 당근이다스.
And so these, taras enacting the 4 activities, these 4 main activities are considered the most important. But when we do this practice every night, we're also going to do the visualization and recitation of the particular tara aspect for overcoming disease, illness. So look at page 33 real quick.
Rani Pami Tukani Nedin Jeli Janze, but German Namka Kawan to Dada simply Tamchi Yibia Lasopa, Nerekuni, Jopper, so Omtari, Titari, Savan Zora, Savat, the Katra, Shamanaya, Pig Soha, Steredu.
So if you wish to be protected from the fear of diseases, then from the heart of myself as the exalted mother, emanate filling space, taras who protect from the fear of diseases. I envision that I and all sentient beings are protected from all types of diseases, 424 types of diseases and so on. Om tari tutari turi zora zara zora sarwa dukkha taja mana pe soha.
Lasso.
Tasha.
Oh, Lasso, and then this home that the and Chironso that Yam than Sumatang in the Yonaya and Chironso Yamne Nangina. Tari Tidici, Tari Tutari Soa, say the Chironso Tangate Sache. Ani Chironso that Ben and Neg in Tipali Japandona, Tata Danandron de Tesa, and Diniandro on the Pema Sato Samaya singitini, Tari Temanayi in the pipe shows.
And so for those of you who aren't able to join us for our nightly practice, then you can just do the practice in the order we talked about and then recite the main mantra of Om Tari Tutari Turi Soha. And then if you want to do one of the particular activities, such as protecting from disease and so on, then you go down and go down to that part, read that section, recite that mantra, and then come back to the part right after the Om Tari Tutari Turi Soha, which is the 100-syllable mantra of the Om Pema Sato Samaya, and then continue in the order that we discussed before.
Daddy Tava Dusela.
Trio the Mambo do Pedu, the Kamanga Matomando.
Oh, Akamakashi Nang Yanala.
That's a day, Khen Rinpoche day. Here, I'm going to just tell the colors again, just because somebody's asking that, and I can just say this. So the color of pacifying is white. The color of enriching is yellow. The color of magnetizing is red. And the color for subjugating, or sometimes called wrathful activity, is green. And so then, the gorim yanjer chiksuro nang segidule yanchik shotang denzo. Khen Rinpoche chegi anchik dra mejo da uchi chabare.
Allen.
Da yonder yo lere.
Oh, so James
James, did you say something?
Justin, I'm going to send you the text right now to yourself. Can I say? Because it's a question people are asking. I sent you a text on your phone, Justin.
Ale o Khen Rinpoche, check the James, you said someone already did it?
I did it.
Ale o James ke de drad zinsa da which then check the recording chebi in the console la train chogar besa.
Oh, chugre.
Yeah, it's okay,
Yeah.
James.
Okay, so
we're going to make recordings of this available of the teaching, so you can go back through and double check on things.
perfect.
Any Khen Rinpoche che ge an che gonda takpar da chi doyon de che gi shotan de zoyan dende chik ze as da chi dende chin ta as da chi sungrabala.
Oh, lagure.
And so when when the nightly practice is happening, you don't have to know this order right now. Khen Rinpoche is going to say, now turn to this page and we're going to start from here and so forth. So you don't have to have all this memorized.
Yeah. This is Debron, this is some of the James group. So
James Grubb will be here with Khen Rinpoche and he'll tell people what pages to go to. And so the practice, Tering Gonda Che Gyan Dungarabela.
Oh, Tering Gonda Dona Dixarela. It's good.
Yes, we can also do the practice tonight. And so someone's asking, how do we join the practice? Is it online or in person or what?
Karen,
Okay.
James Karen.
The other James here. So we are going to have it, Amma, who is our website person, will have it on the website sometime this afternoon. And right on the website under the Green Tara Daily Practice, we'll have the link for you to join. So that's where it's going to be. And so it'll be really easy. And then in the future also, especially once this pandemic situation is different, there could be more retreats, more complex retreats on Tara practice. So this is really just to give everyone what they need so they can start practicing immediately. So yeah, it will be on the website, the link and information for the daily practice that we're going to do every night, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thank you.
Oh, that's a that. How did that makes it Tavala de land you belong duela?
Check the Carissa. Na namju na da drama daw chik so dache daw chi chebi and deni de wang sugar ba lama gi dene.
La re
Ani de konso gyang nganso da so rang wang na ya daw chi de yorbe so le anchik wang shu yorbe daw chi sigdu.
Jima chiro song di drama pe hibuchi yadam che dubi and about the ina. And they do drama go on the Shatamna Yaguyoresila.
So, ani da so le anchik da wang na ya yorbe so la daw chi de chiro did it.
Nazo Lamani Majuba Chini Sikorvala.
Injured it.
Ani Chitang get up a chick Namjun drama the son number Chepala, Teni chick. Oh, so good. That Koraji Telep Chimboji Sonza and it's so good that the legend in the Agati chick the Yore Siravala. The Hinayanta Chiron so de Gasri won't hit Hamna Yaguyores. The Netako Yeshamatana Nikop that the Garage so good the legend and Jima Kali won't Huna degrees.
The Konzo take out of it, so long now you're the best judge.
Nazo.
Understood.
That's also one night you're the best Horvala.
No.
Tadi Chetang Rodon Tadi Chena, Takasiri Nani Lama could do one here, and it's so good. Tea Gini Yang de Soya, the Susugi Chia, Chetang looks it is.
Less. And so this is going back to a question from above that said, can a student initiate themselves with Tara as a yidam the same way a teacher would give the student? Is it the same kind of transmission or empowerment? So generally speaking, no. I mean, first you're supposed to receive an empowerment from a teacher, and then there is a practice called self-empowerment. But what that means is that you have already received the empowerment from your teacher, and you're just kind of reviving that in yourself through your daily practice of receiving the empowerments. And so Khen Rinpoche said, if you're someone who, you know, is really interested in practicing Tara, then it is good at some point to receive an empowerment, and sometime, you know, in the future, you should try to do that.
The drama drama that didn't want to China that could that she said smagan daji so and duck joke the here called dreamy junula to the yore. Jipa J. Jogri say a drug the tongue of some hijiguni, jobs hung a logi mambo shade here, Mato young de chatang like oh in key meaning it in one tub the J. Gobige, the ne take them and a job matabia the Draco here, my dramatic.
And it's also not the case that, you know, if you don't receive an empowerment, that there's no power to the practice and so forth. There are so many stories of people who have been protected by Tara, even just by hearing about Tara and just by hearing that Tara can protect them from the fears and so forth. So it's not necessarily the case that anyone actually needs any kind of, you know, transmissions or empowerments to receive benefit from these teachings. Ani da Khen Rinpoche chegyan da droma ge wang de nangye basic do.
So
Sanjay.
that go Cassidy Nana, that take them do that, so the telephone on and the Kim do. And he that in the song that yam the Gason Zomia Yamandua. The knee Jima Dawujin, Hamadua, Drama Gawang that get number is 3 young Timatis Chevade. That Cassingus and Zom Chua that Jonah, again no Chugara, the Ina Tatanga Sotan Zomia is a Calico to us.
So someone asked if Khen Rinpoche would offer the empowerment, and Khen Rinpoche said, you know, I don't find it appropriate for myself to give an empowerment, you know, over the phone or over this kind of video chat. And, you know, in the past, and right now we can't really get together. So in the past, I have given the empowerment of Tara a couple of times. I have given these instructions a couple of times. And if it got to be the point, or if you know, the time comes when we're able to gather together again and people want to, then I'd be, you know, I could offer the empowerment again.
And in that down the Soma Hedukala Tsiguna Dunjus in a New York. Tangeg Tata Churons on a carriage is a Tsiguche de Hore, Tseguni Jibati de Hore. Then it Dunju the one they are go yore, that Churons on a Tsigu radiores.
And so there are two levels of transmission that happen in a teaching like this, or a practice like this. There's the transmission of the words and the transmission of the inner meaning. And so through this type of teaching, you receive the transmission of the words, and it's through the empowerment that you receive the transmission of the meaning.
In this home, that take Dunga Naranga Ma Hedu Yang Chirons on the same day. Susu Soba Topche, and the drama Gomche. That this cinema here, that is so good that celeb posting and that celeb go in the Jibat, and the look at it, you also love your race.
Danda.
Lareta, ne here do got that same thing here, or what?
No.
Sola DG Gazeta, Togu Gumba Rawata, the so Karina, Jita, Padutela, Yumyaki Chedelata, Semia, taking here on the Diggy, you know, Juliet and its lab, so show to grace.
And so then there's also this transmission that's happening here when I'm teaching, because people request the teaching and then I focus upon them and visualize myself, meditate on Tara, and there is a transmission of blessing. There is like an actual transmission that happens. And so that has also happened here.
Lasso and Tata Tisushira may impareta, Negedi, Chronso, Gerget Tolata, Davala Chik, Jidu Chinning and the Donji Chosaji Hugagi in Dasila.
So we don't have a lot of time, but I'm just going to quickly again go back through the order in which you recite this.
Okay, and that jiba ta de china nge tari kang lapa tenda wuchini chunong sung ta shows.
So if you want to do this in the most elaborate way, then do it like this.
And daily te si chunong sung diba chena.
La,
Ani-
oh, tari nangshin.
No,
Oh,
that
sorry.
dan
If
don dong de ma du na. Te
Lao-
chatang da ma tab na.
Lao,
And de ma dimba nong de na. Duala.
tis shua, Khen Rinpoche.
Hmm.
So if you want to do it in the most elaborate way, then do it the way that we already talked about it. But there's a more brief way that you can do this. So look at page 7.
Ani da kon ringbo chamchen da tab na ani chunong sung ge di jawa kunji chengar. Dan de nge ge ma chajin da yagin chunong sung na yangche. Ki gase ang gota sem te mana chap chini te ma chajin da yagin. Ani chunong sung ge tegarang da na. Teni nge ge long dang chik da gase re. O teni zalab da nyam de chini man dang ge te chunong sung ge te na yi ta sin ringbo ta chena.
La, Khen Rinpoche ngachi go tsuk mendo la.
Dan dan dong ringbo ta de re ba la.
Lao,
Te yang nge ge tata ma chaji nyam den dang ge yin se nge ge chaji yang jan dang ge yin.
that's it.
Te la de ne long dang ta te ja se go ma re be. Te ja de ji ban dang je ge yin ene churong song ge sem te hyu da churong song ge de ne zo wo ji so so ge de ne te ba da ji ni de nye hyu da ani nge ge ma te ja da ji ba ji ni di ring bo de chaji dang ge yin se la.
And so I'm going to recite now the way that you would do this in the kind of a middle length way, not the most extensive way. And so I'm going to be like really focusing as I recite this, and you should focus upon these words and listen with faith, and you will gain, you know, the reading transmission, like a real entrustment transmission from this.
Oh, la so. Jawa kunje jenga toke jebe yam jama le jebe intelen kundo ma nyuma ba mo yang je ma da sanam chuda nam ja ri je ma da ji je ma yen je ma da yen ne ja da sing de na je de ma ji ken sam ja no ter ma ta shi ten de drapung jong de thunya de ra je ma dam ba be je ma pa me na ma ma da je ma ma hum ja mo re tre ma da o der je ma de ren ro kun sing zo le de ma ji sam de dam de da chen chi la re o je zu ma ta chunong so te ga ra thang hyo a sin ning bo ta chen.
And so Dichibu.
Ahora te chipun na digre.
And so for like a middle length practice, you can just recite that, just that praise prayer.
Ahora so. Ta daily diba da wuch. Ta chunong sung nyamne nangi ina ta hing de nature diba de ani dema gba nanola zignas.
And for the most condensed way to do this, then look at page 9.
Yang de yang nge gidna nyemba khahi ji drang che di ta de nyemba khahi ji drang yang chunong sung na tni di te je che gins.
And so again, pay close attention, focus your mind here, and I'm going to recite the mantra here, and give this transmission.
Om tare tu tare tere so va. 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 Om tare tu tare. Om tare tu tare tere so va. Ani terang dana digres.
And so in the most brief way, you can just recite that, just recite the mantra.
Oh, la so that digarai.
So that's that.
That's that. Oh, la so in that dwala. Oh, kasiri di tadrik. Tini nang dinge. That the so good Sally Mambo nang dinge. Tini kasiri chik almadang. Ani James Karen James Group. Ani me. At the time chilaya to the chase that it the so-called samatari koso nang the hiore.
And so thank you to everyone who organized this. And so that was Alma, James Grubb, James Coran, and May.
아니 다 디칼라 따다디 마 송조데서 함께 아니 다 Justin 베 가딩 첨본도 아니 독지체
And also thank you to Justin for translating.
안 대가나 잉게 되니 다 드레인드발라 더녀르치니 펍딩에 참말라 독지체나
And also thank you to everyone who, came here with your interest in receiving these teachings.
아니 디 다다 가세레 가서 되니 우그 드라마 다디 싱딩 나디 드라마니 파킹 노네 다 토모데데레슬라
And so this is the primary amongst the 21 Taras, the one of the teak forest.
야 아니 디 타디니 니히타케 요레
And then after there, all the 21.
안다디 니히타케 데치 소소라고 말에 다 무소소라고 되는 말에 다 빼나 나다고지 다 드리 멘콩지 멘바 네바티 살로고나 아니 니 라바누라지 멘이 잘라데서 콜 멘이 돌로 컨트롤고 그러봐 아니 드레 양 취시에 고하나 양에 빼찬다지 콜지 아니 트나지 칼마 데지 양지 취시야 그 뭐다지 바지 해고라 데나 인지는디 다 가스린 지파 소소 깨베다 다 가스린 딘디리체 남바 문다바레레스.
And so these 21 Taras are not like 21 different people. It's like, for example, if one day I need to go treat people medically, I put on my doctor's clothing and I take my medical bag and my medicines and I go and I treat them. And then the next day I come and I'm going to give Dharma teaching. So I put my robes and I carry my Dharma text and I sit on the throne and I teach. So it's like that. They're, different guises, different appearances to enact all of these different deeds for protecting from all these different fearful situations.
And then this home land, I saw a setting book of Dua, that the dead would deal at the Vietnam Yama singing so. That look doing changing require book of Dua, the young Yama singing so.
And so, like, for example, for people who desire to have like a higher level of study and intelligence, there's Sarasvati and other aspects for different types of particular purposes.
Yeah.
Very good. And then here's the one on the wall.
Okay, yep. The walls. It's okay. Oh, yeah, together. Yeah.
On here.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay.
I can.
Yeah, you go, James.
Let's go together.
It's good?
Yeah. Okay.
Then other has here 21 star.
Next one.
Next one. Okay.
And these are tankas in the shrine room of Tara. And this has the. There we go.
Let's start here.
Okay, goodbye. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.